Hello and welcome back to King of the Castle. It's been a while since we've looked at this game. We played it a couple of months back. It was an incredible amount of fun. For those of you who don't know, this is a chat versus streamer game, or a game where you play against your friends, groups of people, whatever. Works very well for Twitch, obviously, because we get chat to participate. The way it works is that I am temporarily elected king as the streamer. Chat is made up of 3 different noble houses in the game. Various noble houses. It's kind of like randomly generated every time. And as members of the noble houses, you, chat, get to vote on what things want to happen, or our live chat today gets to vote on what they want to happen, what they want to see occur in the realm, and what their demands are. Each noble house has different victory conditions that it needs to win the game, and the king needs to survive, is basically... I have to not throw the realm into utter chaos. So I have to balance the needs of all of our noble houses, while the noble houses have to try and get their things up to the maximum. It's a very straightforward, very simple game. We're going to be playing it today. We're going to start off with a very quick customization, as we gotta get ourselves a good king. Or king-s. I feel like let's go with this nice boy. We'll give him that cool zoomer eyebrow shave. Well, we'll make him a nerd, maybe. Maybe not. This here is definitely way too much. Let's tuck that up. We're gonna go clean today. Clean fancy boy. With a nice foppish crown. Can't see anything out of that mustache. We got our drip. Oh, there we go. That's a better drip. We'll give ourselves a little battle scar. Just, just to give ourselves some seriousness. So the different groups, we have the capital, this is the king. We have the barons of the march, the chiefs of the north, the counts of the east, the grandees of the south, and the patricians of the coast. I don't need to customize any of these guys because I'll be playing as the king, and these are going to be based actually off of what you have as chat members. So, let's start us up a new dynasty. The monarch's name, previously we have always played as King Turg. I feel like that's only correct now. He may be King Turg. His first name is King. His middle name is Turg. His dynastic name. In honor of our recent Battle Brothers run, we're gonna call him Roth. King Turg. Oh, that's gonna be too confusing. King Turg of the Roth dynasty. How does that feel? Gear on the iPad app, no extension. It should be. All the extensions should be up. When we get assigned families, everyone can change their chat color to match their house plays. Ooh, that can be confusing, but very fun. Now, we are going to play on Twitch. Players who have bought the game appear more in the story mode, but you can also customize your character if you own the game. We have to pick 3 regions to start with. It is only correct that we start this off right. I'm going to say a poll for barons, chiefs, counts, grandees, and patricians. I'm going to give you 1 minute. Take your picks. Get to decide who you want. The barons, harsh, brash, Rural lords famous for their belligerence and fondness for hunting. The chiefs, honorable warriors renowned for pagan religion and prowess in combat. The counts are ruthless aristocrats steeped in secrecy. Allegations of forbidden rituals are unproven. The grandees, impassioned duelists known for their strict adherence to honor, etiquette, and the ninth god. And the patricians are wealthy seafaring merchants, noted for their cleverness, skill in negotiation, and ornate masks. Very similar to that of the Venetians. We demand vampires. I put on point voting. I did intend to do that because I figure why not let people rig it in their choice. I'm gonna take the top 3, whatever gets selected. So we get options. We always get some options. All right, here we come. Poll is up. Poll is ended. We've got the counts, the chiefs, and the patricians. Of course, those sneaky counts are coming out first, doing all sorts of weird vampiric stuff. So we've got the counts, the chiefs, and the patricians. All right, type exclamation mark join in chat. Which I am gonna pin. You will get randomly selected unless you type join region to join a specific region. You get options. For the Chiefs of the North, we have VM, Reichland, Dr. Sean. The Counts of the East currently have Knighton, Scottish, and Orangequake. And the Patricians of the Coast, Jareth, Grenelin, and Noroth. See, Noroth's got his simplest fancy banner. Switch it over to the Chiefs. I see how it is. Give you all a moment. Figure out where you want to go. Make your decisions. These are some beautiful looking nobles. Oh, nice hat. You got a little wolf on there. Gotta do some paperwork, join after. Not a worry, my dude. We are here for you. Do we got one more to join the patricians? I feel like we need one more. One more in the gang here. Got the game as part of a humble bundle. Nice. I think that might have been where I got it from too originally. Very good. It's not too expensive either. But obviously it's, you know, better when you got a party going. All right, and we got Nebkey in here. Let's kick it off. More people can join as we play. Tack in as time goes on. We've got the east, we've got the north. We're kind of stuck right in the middle of the coast. It looks like it is quite big. That's a lot of coastline. So, the way this works is we get various little missions as we go through. I have to try and complete different things. And typically, each of the groups will get a job per season where they have to decide, like the counts might get a mission to put farming to 9. So every time different decisions come up and you kind of get to vote and decide and try to figure out like what gets increased. You know, do we spend more money on military, but we raid the farms, or, you know, various other things. It'll make sense in a moment. The game explains it all as we go. Now that you're the king, your first duty is to meet with the Council of Nobles. Your nobles hail all across the land. The wintry north, the desolate east, and of course, the wealthy coasts. Let's talk to the chiefs of the north first. Noroth, the chief of the north, says, good luck in the days ahead. You'll need us dealing with us lot. To the east, Scottish born, an honor to finally make your acquaintance, your grace. May you escape the doom that befell your predecessor. And to the coast, a pleasure, your highness, says noble patrician Jareth Dulac. I hope to see our kingdom prosper and grow wealthy under your reign. The introductions are done. The council hall immediately fills with raised voices as the nobles argue with each other and demand your favor. You sigh and sit back. Is that what the council is like? It's no wonder your father told you to avoid the throne at all costs. Our spy master says, Your Majesty, when you die, how do you hope the kingdom will remember you? Great question. I love how split everybody is here. Like, patricians are big on trade, the counts love farming, the chiefs love military. I feel like it's a very balanced game. A peacekeeper as the greatest king who ever lived, the architect of a new age, or the father of a nation, or as a saint. You know, I kind of feel like I have to go with saint just to play against everybody. But no, I have to keep peace in chat. We will maintain order at all costs. Over the next few years, focus on improving the kingdom's stability as much as possible. So this is my goal, is I have to have an heir and I have to increase stability. As the king, this is my job. Golden Age forever. Introduce themselves to the North first. Eat at everyone that wasn't first. Listen, it was just literally from top to bottom. Faith means nothing when you have winter coming. Your Majesty, I've scheduled your coronation to take place in a week's time. To delay any longer would make the nobles restless, and when nobles get restless, they take their daggers and look for the nearest back. I feel like I should put chat, your voice, down in the corner here. Make it a little easier for y'all to read. Very well. What must I do? As is tradition, the council will decide what happens at your coronation. Of course. Shall we call the nobles in? What kind of coronation should be held for the new king? Should we host a lavish parade with jugglers and fountains of wine? Should we force the commoners to swear a blood oath? Should we throw the king into the river? Or should we put the nobles on a vast banquet for the king? I may veto one thing, and I may also do the monarch's vote. I'm going to veto the one thing that tanks stability, because that seems like it's probably a bad idea for me. I don't want commoners swearing a blood oath around these places. This sounds like a crazy talk. The decision, though, is up to you, Chad. Type A, B, or C, exclamation mark, vote, A, B, C, D, in the chat. Well, don't type B because it won't work, but get in there. I always thought I was here to keep peace. Streamer stealing my job. Listen, Newton, you said you weren't on the first round. I got to keep peace while you're not here. What else would I do? The whole place would go to heck. Object to the waste of coins. Let him have a thorn crown and bleed for the nation. We are hosting a lavish parade with jugglers and fountains of wine. The voting has closed. 4 nobles have voted for it. Heban, Viam, Red Moon, Gretelion. Thank you for your support. I appreciate what the chiefs have done for us today. The coronation is a great success. Jugglers, wine, fireworks, and feasts. An impact on your treasury, of course, but then again, what doesn't? And so ends the springtime. So every season there are 3 events that happen. And then you get to scheme. And this is where you start setting your goals and what you want to do and what kind of shenanigans your realm gets up to. A green nation domination. What an extravagance. We need those supplies for when the winter comes. Vachim of the Heban Fox dynasty, infamous Eastern prodigy, leans delicately on a podium, whispering carefully. My fellow counts, in ancient times, the East was its own proud kingdom. We can bring back these days of glory, but not while a false King Turg wears the crown. Counts of the East, the voting is open. What scheme should you pursue to overthrow the new king and place the preferred claimant Vachim on the throne? Sorcery, doppelganger, or ascension? What is your goal? Now is your time to vote. Curious choices. Curious choices. Who are our Eastern counts? Scottish? They don't believe in the gods? Alright. So be it. You have chosen a goal of ascension. The counts plan to induct the king into their secret cult and offer him immortality in exchange for the throne. First, they must reduce the power of the Eastern Church. To advance their scheme, the counts must lower their faith to 4 or less in 3 seasons. Man, it's already at 4. What an easy scheme you guys got. You're already succeeding at it. Lagertha of the Dr. Sean clan, charismatic political mastermind, stands precariously on a longhouse crossbeam, spitting as they speak. Chiefs of the North, we all know I should be on the throne, not this imposter, King Turg. So how do we make this happen? What scheme should they pursue? Intimidation, raising stability, prophecy, raising authority, or a hornblower, lower all faith? Interesting choices. Interesting choices. I'm curious if, like, you guys really want to lower that faith. Okay, wow. Wow, the North is united. Down with the gods. The chiefs plan to dig up Oldheim's legendary horn and use it to take over the kingdom. First, they must win the favor of the gods by diminishing the kingdom's belief in the ninth. To advance their scheme, all chiefs must lower the combined total of all regions' faith to 12 or less in 4 seasons. Okay, so patricians, you have one job, and it is to get faith up. If you succeed at getting faith up, then the realm does not crumble. Livia of the Nemke family, notorious coastal political fixer, scribbles with a well-used quill on a hardwood desk, explaining in measured prose. Fellow patricians of the coast, my claim to the throne is far more legitimate than that of King Turg. Something must be done. Do they want an uprising, raise the treasury, a conspiracy, lower the treasury, or corruption, lower authority? You have your chance to decide. Help us win, please. Faith is opiate of the people. It leaves them weak for when winter comes. So here's the thing. After you succeed in your scheme, you need to complete 3 schemes to win the game. Once you succeed in your scheme, you have to pick a new one, which could be different. Is most likely different than the other ones. We want to raise some money. Get some cash going. An uprising. The patricians plan to incite a peasant uprising to overthrow the king before swooping in to steal the throne for themselves. To advance their scheme, the patricians must raise the treasury to 2,000 or more in 2 seasons. Okay, so currently everyone's schemes are successful. These upstarts are saying they have a right to your throne. No doubt the nobles are already scheming. By royal decree, we can tweak the laws governing how the council votes. You want to increase. +1 stability if more than 50% of the nobles vote for any one option. Ooh. I'm taking that. That sounds useful for me. I need to get things stable here. Have I ever played Bannerlord? Oh my god, so much. So much. I have played an incredible amount of Warband and Bannerlord. All right, we're low on lumber. We've got an avalanche and we've got the honor guard to deal with. I feel like the chiefs really had my back in that first vote, so we're going to deal with their problem first. A devastating avalanche has buried a mountain village within Reichland Raiders' domain. There were a few survivors. Oh, I suppose we should lend a helping hand. The other nobles are under no obligation to help the North, but surely they will vote with compassion. Do we send financial aid? Decreases defiance, decreases the treasury, but increases everyone's personal wealth in the North, probably. Drop the faith of the North and increase defiance. Or there is nothing to be done. Patricians will never vote for this. Their faith is already at 0. Sneakily, I'm going to say there's nothing to be done. Now's your chance to vote. Decide what you wish. See, only join the game, but you're already in. If you refresh the browser, it might reset the extension. It's imperative that we do this. The town is a really special string-based crafting shop. Top left on the extension where you can see your own wealth and the scheme. Okay. Yeah, the extension is meant to be pretty good. All right. The votes are in. We're sending financial aid. The voting has closed. Of course, all the North were like, yeah, we're going to vote for this. We want money. The funds go towards resettling the survivors in neighboring villages with enough gold to see them through the winter. Defiance is now loyal. The treasury is now 800. I'm pretty sure if I run out of money, I lose the game. Chief Reichland Raider skims a little off the top, of course, for their trouble. Oh, just Reichland gets the 150 bucks. Interesting. Curious. Well, we need some money, so let's go see what the patricians are doing. Good news, Your Majesty, I received a vision. I saw you bathed in holy light, blades and missiles crumbling to dust before they could reach you. You do not need to recruit an honor guard. The 9th will shield you from all harm. I have seen the 9th protect someone from a sword through the chest. You need tangible guards, Your Majesty. What are the Northern Warriors? Bearded oafs with axes and no manners. They'll get drunk and cause trouble in the palace. No discipline at all, but I can't guarantee they won't run off on some random quest. They're honorable and in a fight unbeatable. The Eastern Knights, the Order of the Drowned Rose, are highly respectable. They understand palace etiquette, but it's been years since they actually fought. They mostly write poems. And the Coastal Gladiators are a gang of low-born crooks who turn themselves to celebrities through their skill at chopping other people to bits. They're vain and selfish. Their skill in battle is undeniable, but can you trust them? What foreign mercenaries? A band of fearsome fighters from the Tatterlands called the Battle-Bitten Brethren. They specialize in bodyguard work, but they're costly, and hiring foreigners will betray a lack of confidence in the kingdom's fighters. I await your verdict with bated breath. If this is going to reduce faith, then the Chiefs would be the obvious choice here, as they already don't care for the gods. They are also extremely loyal to me. It will cause the counts and the patricians to become less loyal, but Northmen were good enough for the Byzantines, that's all I'm saying. I could also just believe in God and just be protected with no honor guard. I'm going to go with the Northern Warriors. Do not trust in the protection of the 9th. The kingdom grows more faithless by the day. Oh, everybody lowers in faith. Oh, man. I made the wrong choice there. The warrior heroes arrive in a few weeks. They swagger in with big grins and bigger axes, belching and singing and roaring out unsavory jokes. One of your courtiers faints. Sorry, Counts. I mean, actually, you're welcome, Counts. I didn't mean to really just give you that one on a silver platter. I think the one with no guard would raise the faith, right? That's, yeah, it said it didn't do anything, which is why I was like, well, I'm not going to pick that. And now these guys are all defiant. The good news is that, like, there is some sort of interaction with if your defiance is greater than authority or stability and you have a bigger military or something like that, then you can also just, like, claim the kingdom. We're low on lumber in the east. Chief Noroth of the north says, Your Highness, will you tell these superstitious counts to get over themselves and let us harvest their trees? We need wood for our craftspeople. Elsa says, I've told you 1,000 times, Chief. The forest is thoroughly haunted. You'll damn us all if you go logging there. You sold us a logging contract, and said contract has no exclusions for haunting. The counts can't be allowed to wriggle out of their commitments. Should the chiefs be allowed to harvest lumber from the haunted forest? The chiefs have a contract and may go logging. 30% chance of trade. Let them harvest the lumber, but spare the proceeds with the counts. 30% chance trade. Turn the forest into a joint northern eastern hunting reserve. Sinks authority but increases defiance. With who? I'm not sure. Or fence off the area and make sure nobody goes near it. Oh, see, these are like based on 30% chance of, I guess, success based on trade. 30% chance of success based on authority. I don't know that I want to veto any of this. I feel like no one should touch this wood. I'm going to call for unity. This one seems like it has a chance to succeed. These all seem like they are a disaster. Defiance, that's not good for anybody. You know what? No, I don't trust you guys. I'm going to veto this one. And I'm going to let you all make the decision. Good luck. We need the lumber for the winter. Fires must be lit to hold the ice at bay. It bad. Why are you a man? I don't... It's random. Join she if you want to be a girl. Oh, yeah, maybe it's... Yeah, it might only work during the initial join. Can swap things out on the next round. It looks like the Chiefs have a contract and may go logging. The patricians believe in the trade. Voting has closed. The Chiefs have a contract and may go logging. With the council's express permission, hundreds of northern lumberjacks rush into the haunted forest and start hacking it down, but they're woefully unprepared for what they find. The trade challenge has failed. The moment the workers cut into the ancient trees, they come alive, picking up laborers and devouring them whole. The North trade is now poor. The stability of the kingdom has dropped. Panic spreads. The chiefs withdraw from the area immediately, but the forest does not return to dormancy. Instead, trees start marching across the east, ransacking villages. The east is now... The farming is destroyed. They are extremely aggrieved. I warned you, now there's an army of angry trees on our doorstep. The greed of the chiefs knows no bounds. We're going to have to remember this. Remember what the North has done. And that's the season. Now, nobles can use their personal wealth to bid on buildings. Only the 2 highest funded will be built. Use the command fund, A, B, C, D, E, F, and Y, X, Y. So you say like fund A... 1,000 or whatever, you know? That's what you should do. No, wait. You should fund... Oh, I don't know. Whatever you want. You fund whatever you want. But it looks like these are the options. The chiefs can increase authority or decrease stability. The counts can increase military, decrease faith. The patricians can increase faith and decrease military. You have your money. Let's start the auction. Only the 2 highest get built. You have 60 seconds. For example, Fund A 100 would fund building A for 100 wealth. It looks like the cathedral is coming out strong, with the prison coming in second place. I don't think we need a prison. That seems like foolishness to me. I think we could definitely, you know... Counts, you probably want to get that faith down a little bit, honestly. That observatory might make a little more sense for you than a prison. That would seem like maybe, you know, because the patricians, it looks like the patricians are building this cathedral, whether you like it or not. So, yeah, you know, if we don't end up with an observatory, then faith's going to go up all across the board, and you're going to be in trouble. You might lose your own plot there. It's going to be difficult. Scottish, sitting here on a big cash money. So is Heben. The counts of the East got a lot of cash. Time is up. The Cathedral and the Observatory, with Nimke and Nitin as the biggest contributors, coming in at $2,000 each. Faith goes up, faith goes down. Nothing happens. All right, let's deal with the most important thing. Getting a waifu. Building lots of prisons worked for us IRL. I don't know about that, did it? Saved money, and yet my faction got what it wanted, right? In a twisty passage of your castle, you can avoid your advisors, your nobles, even the spy masters, but there's one person you can't avoid. Mom. Why haven't you found a spouse yet? It's been almost a year. I've been busy. You better find the time. I'll take the liberty of finding eligible candidates. What is your preference? We can go with anybody. We need to have an heir. I don't think that matters, though. I think we can just adopt. I don't think this game is specifically hating towards one group of people or another. I'll send out messages to the most influential noble families in the kingdom. What do they got? We also have some bankruptcy. We should probably deal with those. The treasury is almost empty, Your Highness. Where the hell did it all go? No, what do you suggest we do? Raising taxes, we have a few precious options. You could get a bank loan, sell off crown jewels, or perhaps crack open some predecessor's tomb. Most were buried with piles of gold. We can just mint more coins. Oh, man. Sell off royal jewelry to wealthier nobles. Crack open tombs. Or take a hefty loan. Does this sap you all of your money? I think it does. You auction off dozens of necklaces, giving 5 gold rings and a jeweled scepter to the nobles. It's a humbling affair. Selling off symbols of power makes you look weak and desperate. Look at this tiara. It's fascinating. Don't mind if I do. Reichland Raider gives us some money. Thank you for your donation. Check out this scepter, says Orange Quake. It's like I'm the king. Thank you so much for your money. So the patricians still need to raise $200. Minting more coins always works. I don't know that it does. Never goes wrong. Don't defile the crypts. They keep the wisdom of the winter's past. Listen, I can't take that stability. Your Grace, ever since the birdbrain trees tried to cut down our ancient grove, says Elsa, the trees have been rampaging across the east. You just said the forest was haunted. Lots of forests are haunted, says Noroth. You should have said composed of ancient cursed trees that swallow people whole. The grove is older than the kingdom itself. It's no wonder it held such power. Please, Your Highness, assemble the council. We have to appease the trees. Treesa appeasa. Country Roads. Thank you for 2 months. Much obliged. Welcome back. Glad you haven't been scared. It's a fair point. Why did the counts not tell us that there will be people eating trees? Listen, the Northern soldiers have a huge military. They also have the honor guard. I'm going to be real with us here. I think if we bring in Northern soldiers to help the fight, if we are united in this, it is the best option. Setting fire is bad. Searching for a wizard is bad. The counts trying to deal with this on their own is bad. This hampers the North as much as possible, which you all should want at this point, because they're doing very well. I'm going to call for unity to bring in Northern soldiers to help fight. They are the ones who caused this issue. They all voted to ransack the trees. Bring them in. Let's bring this together. I believe in you. My council of nobles. We must be united in this matter. Counts, you definitely want to be united in this matter, because otherwise your farming is going to get destroyed and you're not going to have any money. Farming is important. Farming is how you get some cash. Just going to give you another little moment longer to say, you know, if you want to go switch your votes around, you still have that option. It is an option. But I don't think it's going to be the case. Oh, God. Yeah, you're all going to the... All right, we're setting fire to the east. What can be done to stop the army of angry trees? Burn them all down. With grim determination, the council votes to burn the entire forest. Of course, the forest is mobile, which presents a much harder challenge. Stability is up, now stability is down. In the end, the counts are forced to light a lot of fires. Half of the east is burning. But once the smoke clears, the ancient killer trees are no more and may never return. Can only choose one. I believe there's like a special vote option I can add that allows you to swap. Now that I remember. All right, we're ending the season. Good grief. Hidden deep in the spider's web of alleys, crisscrossing Thalassius is an old tavern. Somewhere in its hazy backrooms are a number of patricians, all deep in their cups. It's not enough. The citizens couldn't care less about the king or his hoarded wealth. How are we supposed to incite an uprising in this climate, says Grenlian. We could start by ensuring the king actually has some wealth to flaunt, says Nemki. A shame the king seems determined to be destitute. Perhaps he's just really bad with money. That's pretty accurate, honestly. The patricians aim to raise the treasury to 2,000 or more. The patrician fisheries net 500 wealth this quarter. The other nobles gain 200 wealth. You guys get a trade bonus? You can set different taxes for each region here or bribe regions to keep them sweet. Each option has defiance, treasury, and personal wealth changes as indicated on the left. I need to bribe the counts. I need to tax the chiefs. The patricians don't really have an army, so let's tax them as well. Seems like the right choice. Seems like the right choice. You monster. I gave you guys money. Defiance is too high. One or more regions is considering rebellion. Rebelling will stop the region from advancing their schemes, but they can't be taxed or take part in normal votes. The counts of the east are on the verge of rebellion. So yeah, your defiance needs to be higher than authority or stability. The counts are pretty close. I believe the game will tell you. You can type in something like !rebel. Oh yeah, here you go. Rebellion. It's behind me. So rebellion is halted. Defiance is below authority or stability. Counts may vote to rebel by typing !rebel. But if you don't have an army, it's going to go bad for you. Just as a heads up. All right, let's look for a wife. Head into the capital. Wasting coins on the counts when they're the ones that unleashed man-eating trees on the world and burned down half their country. We cannot afford such extravagant spending, not when winter is coming. Listen, if I didn't, they would have just entered into open rebellion just then, so. We found 3 potential matches for you. An eligible candidate from each of the kingdom's 3 regions. Choose wisely, you'll be securing a powerful alliance. Your mother leads you to the Great Hall, where she's arranged 3 portraits on easels. For now, each is covered by a cloth. She whisks away the cloth of the first portrait. Finn, firstborn son of the Northern Rubyheart clan. He's your typical Northern lad, big, brawny, and honest. In some way, an axe to the face is honest. He's interested in moving south to explore new business opportunities. He had a bit of a controversy a while back when his clan hall burned down. He was somehow to blame. I can see the appeal, I suppose. This is Valentina, the eldest heir of an Eastern More Country Roads dynasty. In their youth, they ran off and tried to join a circus. They found them in the end, thank the ninth. The beautiful fur coat they're wearing in the portrait, Wolfpelt hunted it himself. They did have to suppress a peasant revolt on their land recently. I wonder why. An intriguing candidate. And finally, from the coast, we have Dominica, the wealthy heiress to the noble patrician Mac Prior's estate. I mean, just look at her. She's gorgeous, and apparently she's got a silver tongue, too. She's also obsessed with the arena. All her friends are gladiators, and sometimes she even enters a fight herself. She's said to be led by her passions, living in the moment with no thought for her reputation. I like the sound of her. By picking a candidate, you'll anger the other regions, but you'll gain a lifelong alliance. You really only get one choice, right? Yeah. Who's most valuable to me as an ally? There's one thing we know for sure. The Chiefs are doing whatever they want and are extremely dangerous. The Counts want to make me immortal. And the Patricians want to make me money. Which I honestly don't hate. I've made my decision, I think. The East has nothing, not even farms. Dominica is the only choice. We have the coast. The North has soldiers. The North is mighty and not treasonous. If I don't marry the Counts rebel. I can't quite remember how the military works. If they just need to be the strongest. East will also be able to rebel if you don't marry that way. They'll have the option to rebel, but they won't, like, just rebel right away. There's no good pick, right? Lowered your coffers and stole your money. You hate us. Listen, we have many decisions to make. I'm going to marry Dominica of the Coast. Sorry. Sorry. One for the good guys. All right, well, we better head to the east and figure out what's going on over here. Looks like there's a lot of rebels happening. Apparently something has escaped from the cellars of Salfar's castle. I asked for an eyewitness report from a local. Hello, Majesty. It was a right unholy sight, a monster stitched together from parts dug up from the village cemetery. I recognized my Aunt Edna's earlobes. Bring me the couch. Tear, what's going on here? This creature is my life's work, Your Majesty, and my son. His escape was regrettable. He just wanted to see the village up close. Rest assured, I have chained him up far more securely in my dungeon to ensure this will not happen again. It's too late for that, Conte. You and your unholy creation must be burned. It's the only way to cleanse the world of your evil. This is not good. This is not good. This is not good at all. These are all terrible for me. I'm gonna veto that the monster may live. The Counts are for sure hitting open rebellion. There's little I could do about this. Tame the rebellion, lest she was the cutest. Sorry, the North and East doesn't have good genes. Can I bribe you with funds? No, you guys really want to free that monster. A stability chance. 40% is not very good. Yeah, I had a feeling. You guys were all going to vote for that otherwise. There was no way you guys were going to vote for faith going up, so. 11 nobles voted to free the monster. The boy's not ready for freedom. This will end in disaster. The council would free this unholy monstrosity and allow its twisted creator to go unpunished? What kind of message does this send? You're mad, don't you see? Doom will come to the east. Doom! Unfortunately, the High Inquisitor's words prove prophetic. The abomination snaps after relentless bullying from suspicious villagers. It goes on a spree across the east, torching the fields and murdering peasants. You guys went from having 7 farming to 0. Finally brought justice by an angry mob, the common folk mock you for allowing your soft heart to blind you to common sense. Good grief. Poor East. The poor, poor East. I think there are 2 out of 3 votes needed to rebel. 2 have voted to rebel. I feel like I should maybe be on the other side of the screen. We might have to swap some things around. We can invade and claim the east for the north. 3 have voted to rebel. Rebels next season, if defiance is above authority and stability. Okay. Your Majesty will recall the devastating avalanche that struck the north. Yeah, a tragedy. The avalanche uncovered an ancient stone door embedded in the mountainside. We suspect it may be one of our ancestors' tombs. Some locals pried open the door and investigated within, but did not return. Send a group of renowned northern warriors to explore the ruins. Send a team of scholars from Quayle University, or order the tombs shut back up. I think we should send the northern warriors to their death. That seems like a good plan. What's the worst that happens? They're strong. They can take a bunch of ghosts. What, are you kidding me? They're absolutely ready to do this. They got those big guns. Sun's out, guns out in the north, as they say. Let's see what they come up with. The North is no short supply of warrior heroes. The only problem is finding a group who's willing to work together. There's a lot of ancient feuds to tiptoe around. Thank you all for agreeing on that as well. Bring our stability back up a little bit. The chiefs finally settle on a champion named Hrothgar, known for juggling live scorpions. He will lead a band of brave warriors into the tomb. You hope to hear back from him soon. And then we ended the season, where we will begin hiding from the church. In a tiny village far to the east, 2 counts meet in a derelict tavern. No one dares even glance in their direction. Peasants all across the land are rejecting the 9th god, and tithe collections don't dare knock at the door of my keep. Trade has gone up in the counts. We must not falter. If the king grows proud, we can offer him the ultimate reward, immortality. The counts must raise authority to 5 or more in 4 seasons. Counts, you got your work cut out for you. Also, you're rebelling, so maybe you don't. I don't know. Timer is set to 15 seconds. The vote will automatically close once the timer is over. Nobles can change their mind and vote for different options. Nobles must vote for their least favorite option, and the option with the least vote passes. Reverse voting. I do love a swing vote. The kingdom is in rebellion. The first side to earn 5 victory points will win. Victory points are earned through events. If the rebels are victorious, the monarch is overthrown. Ooh, we have a royal wedding, we have a rebellion, and we have an opening strike. We also have an ad break. So I'm going to let that play so we don't miss anything. We all just want to see what happens. Scorpion juggling is vital in the preparations for winter. We will be the authority soon enough. Reverse voting might confuse the heck out of the North. We are simple people. This is true. I don't know. Sometimes chat is pretty smart. I have a cat coming in to visit. I'm going to see if I can catch her. Hi, Cindy. You want to come up? Hey, come on up. Come say hi to chat. We're on an ad break. So now's a great time to spend attention on a kitten. A big kitten. A 5-year-old kitten. Hi, come up. Come on up. You can come up, get some pets. What do you think? Yeah, I'm talking to you. I'm not even talking to chat. Hi. This cat just stares at me with these like big saucer moon eyes. Coming up? Can't decide? You know what? I'm also going to take this opportunity to move us around a little bit. I feel like... Well, maybe not. You know what? I take it back. I think we're fine over here. Can we see the noble list? Yes, absolutely. Here's your list of nobles. Oh, you can eat boneless wings. Now you're hungry. A rebellion. Now we can gain favor by killing the treacherous counts. No, there is a cat. See? See? Spoiler alert. Here it is. I just had to ignore her for a minute. That's the trick with this one. The cat is a phantom. Hiding the rebel tab is good anyway. I mean, maybe. They are already actively in rebellion. Hi, Cindy. How you doing? You want to say hi to everybody? You want to say hello? Hello. You smell like cat food. What a little angel. What a little baby. Do you see yourself in the picture? Picture in picture in picture? Boss. Hi. Chat misses you. We don't get nearly enough Cindy time anymore. Not nearly enough. Never ever enough, really. There are worse things a cat can smell of. This is true. Her eyes green screened? Oh, that's so spooky. I can see behind her eyes. She's not real. She's just a CGI cat. Now she's going behind the green screen. All right. Our ad break's over. Let's get back into it. I guess we better deal with this rebellion first. At long last, the counts have reached their boiling point. You're confronted in the throne by Count Wallflower Ninja. His smile is sharp as a scalpel. The counts of the east will bring you down, pretender, to the throne. We will rise up and fight for Vachim, the true king. Authority and stability drops. This is a formal declaration of war. The next time we see each other, we'll be on the battlefield. Don't the counts need to increase authority? Oh, but all schemes are on pause right now. I have to seize him. Come along, traitors, get the chop. You can't do this, I'm an envoy. See how the king's tyranny grows worse by the day. Your watchman wastes no time. Wallflower Ninja is dragged out of the courtyard and his head is struck from his shoulders. Didn't expect them to move so boldly, Your Majesty. Count Wallflower Ninja has died. Wallflower Ninja 2 has joined the council. What are our chances against the rebels? The counts are formidable but not undefeatable. I hope they don't persuade any other region to join their rebellion. That would be really bad. The leader of the rebellion is Count Nitten. As reason for the uprising, they're citing your past transgressions, mainly angering the ancient tree grove for the sake of some lumber. Urge to murder rising. Yes, Your Majesty, hold on to that feeling. You'll need it. So this is it. Civil war. The kingdom is divided. There will be a lot of death and suffering before all this is over. I can't wait. I'll go dig out the trebuchets. Ay-ya-ya. 10 defiance. Yep. Let's have a royal wedding. The Civil War casts a shadow over the wedding. Instead of being a joyous public holiday, the day arrives without much pomp and ceremony. All your nobles have arrived at the capital. Soon enough, you're standing at St. Bertrande's Cathedral with Dominica at your side. Do you take this woman as your blah, 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 blah? Yes. I need the stability and authority desperately. I pronounce you king and wife. Oh. This drops defiance as well in the chiefs. After the wedding, of course, there's a feast, and after the feast, a dance. Your new wife laps up the attention, delivering a witty speech in which she flatters you outrageously. By the time you find yourself alone, it's past midnight, and you've never felt more tired. It is such a wonderful day, wasn't it? Agreed. You endured a long conversation with Dominica, seems determined to flatter you relentlessly and agree with everything you say. You still don't know who Dominica really is. Her real personality is concealed beneath 100 layers of etiquette. You go to your separate bedchambers, still strangers. Oh, so we didn't even consummate the marriage. We're going Bloody Mary on the nobles? I mean, we didn't really have a choice. You guys destroyed the East. You rampaged it with trees and then let a hulking monstrosity kill everything else. The counts had really no option but to raise their flag in rebellion, so... If they told us about the man-eating trees, we wouldn't have cut them down. Purple wedding incoming. All right, it's been a long time coming. Over 300 years, the East was conquered, but before that, we were our own rulers with a lineage of monarchs stretching back 1,000 years. The glory days. What's more, we must rise up. By placing Bachim on the throne, we will reclaim what we have lost. But the counts must decide on tactics. How shall the counts strike first? You can launch a preemptive strike against the patricians to cripple their military capabilities. If the chiefs may join our cause, we can call them to war. They'll be more likely to join us if the king's authority is low. We could also call upon the church to condemn the king, or finally, you could send off an assassin to nip this in the bud. Counts, it's your vote. Only your vote. Scottish, Heben, Tyr, Country Roads, Elsa, Nitin, Wallflower. You better get voting. You got options. You just want to kill me? Straight up? Just go straight for the assassination? Launch a preemptive strike against the patricians? You're just going straight for killing me. Is this just going to win the game for you? Thank you for meeting with me in such short notice. The sum you offered piqued my interest. You understand why the sum is so high, though? Scottish's wealth decreases. You want me to assassinate the king? It's no trouble. I'm a child of the Viper. If you have gold and you want a man dead, he is dead. Get it done, says Scottish. My northern warriors better be worth their weight in gold right now. That's the end of the season. I'm so scared. Northern sagas tell of old Held's horn, once gifted to mortals by the honey-blooded prince himself, then lost to the snows of time, never to be found again, until now. By the gods, can you believe it? This has been the most bountiful spring in living memory. The grass is green, the sun is warm, even the sheep have given birth in record numbers. It's the work of Odd Held, my friend. We've spent many months beseeching him, and he has rewarded us with the means to overthrow the king. Truly, you mean to say he has pointed us to his horn? It's far to the north in the Ice Giants territory, the frozen wastes. We need a hardy force of heroes to stand any chance of retrieving it. They must raise their military to 5 or more. Well, okay. Not a problem, I guess. He's getting really easy jobs here right now. A little bit worried about those. A great battle, something is wrong, and Hrothgar returns. Let's go see what's going on in the north. We've received word from Hrothgar. He has returned from his exploration of the mountain tomb. This is the warriors that you guys sent up north. Aha, he's back. Unfortunately, your majesty, this is not cause of celebration. He now marches at the head of an army of magic warriors made entirely from ice. They believe Hrothgar is their ancient king. Is this a joke? The traitor plans to take your throne with his frozen army. We don't have long to decide on a response. Do we know the origin of these ice warriors? The ancient northern king Bjarnolf was rumored to be a warlock who created his own soldiers from snow and used them to crush their rivals. If these are his creations, they must be over 400 years old. Do we order the chiefs to gather their army and face him in battle? Do we send an assassin after Hrothgar? Or do we do nothing? I'm gonna veto do nothing. There's an army marching on us. What we decide to do, if we assassinate him or if we have the chiefs go. Chiefs got a big army, but it's 50-50. Chiefs versus chiefs or assassins. The North ain't cowards. Oh, I'm so scared of this. I mean, obviously the patricians don't want to lose any more money, so. Can the counts not vote because they're in rebellion? Interesting. I didn't know that. The North will fight against the coming winter. The chiefs gather their armies and face Hrothgar in battle. The resulting war is bitter. The Ice Warriors are formidable foes, inhumanely strong and untiring. We have succeeded. The military drops a little bit, but your northern warriors prove much more than a match for frozen troops. There are casualties, of course, but it could have been much worse. The Ice Warriors have been shattered. A bruised Hrothgar is brought before you in chains. I feel like getting my authority up is pretty good. Sentence him to death. Roaring with mad laughter, he's dragged away to face the axe. I'm just killing nobles left, right, and center, man. This is my job. You lost a military, but you only need to be military over 5. So you're still doing okay. We have a great battle happening. Vast armies darken the landscapes like the shadows of clouds. Flags are flying, drums are pounding in rhythm with the marching of boots. The kingdom is gripped with civil war. At least that's what you imagine. Most of your time is spent in the safety of your palace, poring over a giant map with your marshal. Your Majesty, the armies of the East are advancing on the capital, led by the treacherous Cur Continentin. I've received word from the commander of our loyalist forces in the north. If they march now, they'll intercept the count in a matter of days. Alternatively, they could join forces with the army of the coast. It's risky, but together they'd have a higher chance of defeating the counts. What are your orders? Tell the chiefs to face the Eastern army head on. This is their job. Godspeed. What we learned about the counts is that their armies like haven't fought in a really long time. That's not really like their thing. Hopefully they do as they're told. God knows treachery can thrive on a battlefield. We have our orders, but should we follow them, says Chief VM. Chiefs of the North. Follow orders, send the Northern Army to fight the rebels. Defy orders, link up with the patricians, or hang back and let the rebels march on the capital without challenge. Northmen, remember, you are my honor guard. Your honor demands that you defend the kingdom. Let it be known that the North are cowards. Absolute curs, dogs, rapscallions. The chiefs hang back and let the rebels march on the capital without challenge. Honorless curs. The whole city holds its breath. You stew in your palace, waiting anxiously for the marshal's return. She bursts into your throne room. The damned cowards, cravens, treacherous, yellow-bellied, lily-livered, chicken-hearted bastards. Ugh. Well, all of these options suck. Marshal, report. Instead of engaging the enemy or linking up with the patricians, the chiefs told their army to hang back and do nothing. The rebels gained 3 victory points. Defiance is now grumbling in the north. Authority is now ineffective. They sat pretty in their camp and scratched their arses while the entire Eastern army walked on by. Why? A healthy mix of cowardice, self-interest, and lack of confidence in your abilities. They're hedging their bets and waiting to see who comes out on top. You have no choice but to rely on the patricians. It'll all come down to the next battle, Your Majesty. The fate of the kingdom hangs in the balance. We will prevail. That's the spirit. I must be going. I have a lot to take care of. North? I'm gonna remember this. I don't forget. Our brother was executed. Your brother led a rebellion and you fought them. Your job is the military. The North remembers their duties sometimes. The North remembers I didn't marry the North. I mean, I guess maybe that's true. Won't even lead his own troops. Won't even fight the final battle himself. Listen, I'm a coward in my palace, okay? But I'm not as much of a coward as the North. It's an afternoon like any other. You're sitting atop your throne listening to the petitions of the common folk, and a merchant is droning on about the number of beggars in the main square. Suddenly, you spot a flash of movement out of the corner of your eye. What's that? A hooded man steps from the crowd, unsheathing a lethal-looking blade from his belt. The merchant's droning shudders to a halt. Guards! The honor guard rush forward, roaring a guttural northern battle yell. The assassin flings the blade at you moments before one of the northern warriors crashes into him. Duck, dive, or stand there like an idiot. I'm gonna duck. The assassin's aim was thrown off by the honor guard, and the blade sinks into the throne's backrest an inch from where your head had been. The honor guard and the assassin engage. Somehow the lone killer downs several of them in an instant. Though they received only superficial cuts, they're already convulsing with foam dribbling from their lips. The assassin is eventually cut down, but not before your northern warriors have been utterly decimated. The few survivors die within hours, also foaming. Oh, achievement unlocked. You got your honor guard killed in the line of duty. Are you all right? No, I absolutely am not. The danger has passed. It's a good thing your honor guard were loyal. I dread to think what would have happened if they sympathized with the rebels. She pulls out the knife that had been embedded in the throne. I suspect it was coated in the venom of a scorpion cat. The slightest scratch, you'd have died in indescribable agony. One of the children of the Viper, the most feared assassins in the kingdom, no doubt hired by the East. They use magic and trickery poisons in combat. A single Viper's child can slaughter even the kingdom's finest warriors. We'll have to be more vigilant from now on. The counts will stop at nothing, even murder, to bring you down. Thank the Ninth for your honor guard. May they R.I.P. Do I get new honor guard now? I am not surviving much longer, I don't think. Decimation isn't that bad. Just 1 in 10 that died. Even more dead Northmen, and for what? Listen. It's auction time. Counts, you seem to have an incredible amount of money. You can decide what to do with it. The counts are very rich. Not clear how that happened. The chiefs want to build their military back up. That makes sense. That is your scheme right now. Patricians, if you were to get your farming up, that would give you more money. Increase the treasury. Always a good option. That fortress is looking hot. That aqueduct looking hot. Counts, if you wanted to say increase stability, that would be cool. I'd appreciate that a lot. You know? Wouldn't really have any complaints coming from me there. You guys are sitting on a lot of cash. I don't know what you're planning to do with it. Part of me thinks maybe you're planning to spend a lot of it on war efforts. A bunch of funding for the cathedral came in at the last minute. That's a bit of a surprise. Max single-handedly deciding that the faith is going up in the country. And the chief's military does go up as well. The kingdom in rebellion. Rebels got 3 points. I can't believe that. About your heir. Your marriage to Dominica is not what you had hoped. She seldom sleeps in your bed, and over breakfast she exchanges only a few frosty words before she departs for a combat drill. Okay, well, this marriage changed pretty quickly. The last thing on your mind is procuring an heir, but the needs of the kingdom prevail. The royal wedding was a magnificent affair. Congratulations. Very happy, thank you. Your happiness isn't as important as fulfilling your duty to the kingdom. I'm glad you found a way to have both. We still need an heir. Securing an heir is impossible while the kingdom is in civil war. Defeating this rebellion, and then and only then is it worth looking to the future. I will talk to you again when the realm is at peace. I'm going straight to the final battle. Northmen, let me be clear. If you do not back us in the final battle, the counts win. Just so you know. Just so you know, this is all of us against the counts right now. After the hideous cowardice of the chiefs, our last hope is the patricians. They're all that stands between the capital and the Eastern army. I guess the ninth god is also maybe on our side. I'll send word to the patricians that it's time to strike. We can only hope they listen to your orders. Oh, the North doesn't even participate anymore. They've already abandoned us, leaving the patricians only a 30% chance to succeed in this. We're playing with viewers. Yeah, Shaker. If you type !join and then whatever pronoun you want, you get to join a random noble house. Oh my god, I hope you guys succeed. The marshal rides out with your orders, leaving you to wait anxiously for the outcome of the battle. The next few days are agony. When she finally returns, she strides into your throne room with a triumphant gleam in her eyes. Marshal, report. We lured the counts into a forest. Ah, they're not used to forests. We'd scouted ahead of time. When their column was stretched out, we sprung an ambush. It was an utter slaughter. We chased them through the forest for days, harrying them relentlessly. Eventually, they made their final stand on a hilltop, but by that point, they'd lost all morale. The East loses 2 military. The Loyalists gain 3 victory points. The Crows ate well these last few days, let me tell you. I haven't seen that many corpses since I was a little girl. This calls for a glass of wine. No, a bottle of wine. Your marshal happily accepts a drink and you clink your glasses together. As you're taking a celebratory sip, however, we received word from the scouts. I don't quite know how to say this. The counts have split their forces. The army we defeated was a diversion, and they've got another regiment making its way through the Crown Lands. They'll be outside the capital in a matter of days, and the patricians are too far away to help. What do we do? How come we didn't spot this sooner? They must have been killing our scouts and marching under the cover of night, those cunning buggers. We've got a lot of work to do. Build up the capital's fortifications, stockpile food, trade up a citizen's militia. But don't worry, this is the last-ditch ploy of a defeated enemy. We need to outlast the siege, and the patricians will come to our rescue. Alexa Aranel, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the agency. The North remembers what? Listen, you still have a chance. There's still one more battle. Deep in the moorlands, a group of rebel counts have gathered to discuss the civil war. With them are their spies, a cluster of nondescript Eastern citizens in ordinary clothing. I trust you are as safe as can be in these troubled times. Blood and stars, I'm mostly troubled with the thoughts of King Turg remaining on that throne. That's precisely why I've invited you here. You know the chiefs are in the king's pocket, but are there peasants? Are the chiefs in the king's pocket? I gotta ask you, chiefs, are you in my pocket? Because it doesn't seem like you're in my pocket. It seems like you're betraying me at the drop of a hat. I know for a fact that Chief Rubyheart is stockpiling food while the ordinary people of the North go hungry. Wow, now we see what's really going on, chiefs. Not only are you cowards, but you're letting your people starve. Our spies should spread the word. We'd be kinder to the peasants than Chief Rubyheart and his corrupt compatriots. How delightful. Let us decide how to proceed. Counts, this is you. Promise riches to those who move or enlist from the North. Set aside bountiful farmland. That's not going to work. Give a huge amount of actual money to Eastern Army recruits, or use the spies to improve our tactical military position instead. Counts, this is all on you. This is your decision. They do have a lot of money. They do have a lot of money. This could be bad. Didn't to portray me, we defeated the Winter's army. You defeated one army, yes, but not both. Trusted spies pour into the North, spreading word about the generosity of the counts. It's not long before the plan bears fruit. Droves of peasants make a dangerous trek to the east, a golden glint in their eyes. As the troops clean their weapons, make repairs, and heal their wounds, one thing is for sure. They'll soon have a chance for some action. There'll soon be enough of the kingdom left for them to enjoy once this is over. In the North, unbeknownst to the rest of the kingdom, a great battle has just taken place. The chiefs are celebrating their recent victory against the ice giants in the frozen wastes by smashing steins together and singing battle songs all throughout the night. Did you see the giant's face when I cut him down? Poor blighter never felt a heated axe before. So much loot, never mind the horn. Look at all this gold. The chiefs get rich. The party lasts long into the night, and a few chiefs take turn drinking mead out of the horn. As dawn breaks, they stumble into the main hall where Lagertha has beckoned them. Quiet down, you louts. It's time to get serious. The horn has the power to collapse buildings, cause earthquakes, and destroy mountains. We must vote on how it will be used. Chiefs, this is you. Threaten to destroy the kingdom's food supply, lowering everybody else's farming, or sneak into the capital and collapse the palace on the monarch's head, lower authority. I mean, you already destroyed the farmland. I'm gonna let a tiebreaker come in here if you've got it. Oh, you don't? Threaten to destroy the kingdom's food supplies. Lower others' farming. With this horn, we'll collapse mountains and castles and swallow up farmlands. Before we can make demands, we need their attention. We'll see that their food supplies are precarious enough to make them desperate and then make our move. The final stages of the scheme, the chiefs must lower all other farming to a combined total of 2 or less. Yikes. Patricians, I'm sorry I have to tax you cruelly, but I need to get the defiance of the chiefs down. Otherwise, they will rebel. My sincerest apologies. This is worse than Crusader Kings. What option do you have for North Korea strategy? Oh, the chiefs are so rich, though. All right, I feel like we better take besieged first. The counts march through the crown lands, pillaging and burning. The roads are heaving with refugees, and corpses clog the river. Which, with my heavy heart and much humility, you accept this bag of gold. Now the capital is surrounded. You stand on the ramparts of your palace, staring out in dismay as your army camps, stretching for miles outside the city walls. Get down from there, your majesty. If they get lucky with a crossbow bolt. They look like ants from up here. Yes, ants are terrifying enough in numbers, and after someone's kicked their nest, we have one hope. The chiefs and the patricians are still out there. The chiefs may be cowards. There's no doubt about that. But the patricians are not. They'll be gathering their forces to come and save us. I hope they get here in time. Oh, well, now I think we're doomed. As you finish your sentence, an immense trebuchet hurls a 10-ton boulder towards the capital, crashes into a clock tower, smashing it to smithereens. Like I said, you better get inside. The counts are digging tunnels under our walls. By the 9th, Eastern troops could boil up from the underground anywhere in the city, even under your very throne. I've placed bronze bowls of water inside the city walls. Judging by the size of the ripples, we've worked out where the tremors are coming from. It's a rough measurement for certain, but we must act. What should the council have me do? Flood the tunnels with water diverted from the river. Dig counter tunnels and send troops to fight them off. Or smoke them out. I'm going to call for unity. I don't know if we should smoke them out or flood the tunnels. I feel like if we flood the tunnels, it might destroy the farmland. This is obviously a bad idea. 35% chance. So just don't vote for that. Vote for A or C. And try to all vote for the same thing. Be a lad and all vote for the same thing. I guess we're going to be flooding those tunnels. It's one way to do it. Farms love the water. I mean, maybe they'll appreciate the irrigation. Maybe we're just irrigating the tunnels here. Maybe this will improve farming. Voting has closed. Thankfully, at least 50% of you voted for the same thing, so our stability is up and we are safe from a chieftain rebellion, which is probably the greatest threat we face. After days of exploratory digging, your tunnelers meet up with the eastern tunnels and frantically evacuate. Diverted the flow of the treadwater directly into the enemy tunnels, flushing away their wooden braces along with their miners. This caused the tunnels to collapse, and that tunnel was under our walls. Oh. A section of the wall partially collapsed into the resulting sinkhole. The hundreds of eastern soldiers swarmed in. Rebels gained a victory point. We fought them off, but only barely, and who knows how long the barricade will hold. I think they're 1 point away from victory. Your Majesty, given the wretched state of the kingdom's farms, we couldn't stockpile enough food before the siege. Now everyone is starving. God damn it. Ah, that explains why my afternoon feast was limited to 5 courses. Indeed, Your Majesty, but the common folk suffer even worse, subsisting on a few crumbs of bread every day. Empty bellies make empty heads, Your Majesty. The peasants may rise up in mad revolt if you starve them much longer. That would be a disaster. We need to find a way to feed the people. No cake. No cake allowed. I will happily eat as little as the peasants. Or stage a risky attack on the rebels. I don't think eating horses is good. That's just going to weaken the chiefs and the patricians. That weakens everybody, so we're not going to be able to fight off against the counts. Remember that if the counts succeed, we lose. So take your votes. Everybody loses if the counts succeed. Except for the counts, they win. No cake? I know, the cake's, it's a lie. Northmen want to go for a risky attack. Patricians, we need your votes. My noble, loyal patricians. Ciro, Paul, Orangequake, Jareth, Nemki, Grenleon. Get in here. Give me your votes. All right, we're staging a risky attack, I guess. Beset by siege, the capital is running out of food. You send a band of soldiers out beyond the walls, tasked with stealing supplies from the enemy camps. Wish us luck. The soldiers don't return until the next day, when their bloody corpses are hurled over the walls by trebuchet. Your gamble didn't pay off. I suppose at least we have a few less mouths to feed. I believe that's game for the counts. Maybe they need 6 points? I thought they only needed 5. No. The first side to earn 5 victory points will win. North can't fight worth a damn. The sun rises on a city in turmoil. The counts began their assault last night, and since then you've heard nothing outside but screams and howls and the clash of blades. Half the capital is in flames. Soldiers rush back and forth shouting panicked orders. You haven't seen your marshal since the night before. Perhaps she's already dead. The royal court is empty except for you brooding on your throne. Your wife is long gone. Last night she gathered her retinue and struck out to escape the capital on her own. You offered to accompany her. She refused. A king should die on his throne, she said. You wait and stew. Outside, the screams and clashes get louder until your spy master arrives out of breath, face stained by smoke and blood. You must saddle your horse and escape the city. I know of a secret passage. Yes, show me where to go. You follow the spy master down through a hidden trapdoor behind your throne. The capital is lost, but you can get it back. The patricians have agreed to shelter you while you plot your revenge. At least some people are loyal. After crawling down a secret tunnel for what feels like hours, you spill out into a leafy courtyard, a pair of horses waiting. You saddle them up and hear a wet thud behind you, followed by the sound of something rolling across the floor. Your spy master dead on the ground, her head missing. Count Nitin stands over the body, flanked by a dozen soldiers, longswords stained red. Never liked her. Ideas above her station. All right, get it over with. As you wish. With a triumphant smirk, Count Nitin makes a sharp gesture. The Eastern soldiers step forward, swords at the ready. People say the counts are ruthless, but we're not without mercy. I will make sure your death is swift. I'm gonna fight. Empty hands can do little against armor and swords. You're given a vicious beating and the fight drains out of you. Instead of killing you, the soldiers seize you and drag you back towards your palace. The ordeal isn't over. After a week rotting in your own dungeon, you're marched out into the public platform, jeered at by thousands of peasants. You cringe under a barrage of rotten fruit and fresh dung. Count Nitin sits in the front row grinning. The rebels have won. The capital has been taken. You are a former king. Casual Hoy, thank you for the raid. You're just in time for us to get beheaded. Come on in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hello, hello. The executioner waits silently, holding an axe bigger than you. If you have any last words, now's the time. Well, I'll be heading off then. You place your head on the block. The executioner lifts his massive axe. Wait, you've suddenly thought of much better last words. You turn to the executioner to tell him, but the axe is already falling. Thunk! Your head bounces into Count Nitin's lap, and your reign comes to a gruesome end. The counts are victorious. No thanks to the North. Lousy North. Welcome on in, dudes. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much. Welcome to the show. Come on in. Count Statline, you wanted to be a count man. I mean, we're gonna do up another round here. So you're just in time to join the next round. Welcome. Thank you so much. What were you rocking today? Little King of the Crown as well? Are we gonna continue the dynasty? I just assumed I'd make a new one. I don't really know the difference between continuing and making a new one, to be honest. Playing King of the Castle as well. Nice. I love it. It's not my first time. We played it once before. So this was like our third campaign, I want to say. I think we'll just start a new dynasty, probably. Having lost to the rebellious counts, King Turd was dragged out of the palace and decapitated in the city square. After losing the civil war, the chiefs retreated to within their borders and immediately began plotting against the usurper. Classic chiefs, they love retreating. As a reward for staying loyal to the king, the top patricians were beheaded. In public, the survivors swore loyalty to the new regime. In private, they swore vengeance. The counts launched a rebellion that toppled the king and devastated the kingdom. In the aftermath, nobody could stop them from taking the throne, and Vachim was crowned to half-hearted cheers from the traumatized common folk. King Turg, the famine bringer. 2 years. So bad. The wealthiest noble was Ruby. The poorest noble was Mac. Spent too much money on that church. The chiefs came really close to winning. They did need a couple seasons to pass. The poor patricians never got out of the gate. Loyal as they were. Not enough votes. All the nobles keep their nobles. The money they had at the end of the last monarch. Oh, okay. No, yeah, we'll do a new dynasty. Stats also stay when you continue. Oh, that's cool. Some events only pop up on continued dynasty. Cool. We needed act of God to win. Listen, we'll do a no dynasty. We better just quickly. Obviously, this guy was a failure. I guess you can't play as queen of the castle, can you? Excuse me. Let's go with this nice big bushy. You know what? Let's go with a nice Santa Claus beard. That's how I'm going to theme this guy. He's going to be as Santa Claus as possible. Red and green. Gotta have a red hat if he's Santa. And of course, he can be Battle Santa. Get a nice little shot of him. And we're going to start up a new dynasty. The Claus dynasty. King Santa. Guess we got to kill Santa. I guess so. All right. We'll do a poll. Let you guys choose which regions you want. We've got the Grandees, the Patricians, and the Barons. The Grandees, the Patricians, and the Barons. Clearly people are not too happy with how the North went last time. Who can blame them? Quite frankly, who can blame them? All right. With these selected, you may now join. Type join to join a region, or you can join your gender. We're going to be King Santa of the Claus dynasty. Come on in, come on in. Also going to open a window because it's really hot today. Now's your time. Join your noble counts, your barons, your grandees, your patricians. I like that the patricians came back. I appreciate that. They were like, we got spanked last time. We gotta show what we got. All right. 5 of each. We got a fancy player on each team. Love it. Let's get in. Anyone else? You can join in at any time. We have the South, the March. The coast is actually in the north this time. The coast basically surrounds the capital. Let's meet the gang. Your nobles hail from across the kingdom. Introduce ourselves to the patricians. Patrician Kitty Cathy. Hope to see our kingdom prosper and grow wealthy under your range. The grandees of the south. May the ninth god bless our reign, your holiness. I trust we will conduct ourselves with honor and faith. And the baroness of the March. Hail and well met, my liege. Under your leadership, we'll whip this kingdom into shape. Damn, the barons have really good stats. 5566. You know what? The grandees also have very good stats. You know what? Everybody has, I'm pretty sure, balanced stats. The council hall immediately fills with raised voices as the nobles argue with you and demand your favor. You sit back and sigh. Is this what the council is like? Let's take our coronation first. When the nobles get restless, they take their daggers and look for their nearest back. Well, we wouldn't want that. Let's get this over with. Shall we call the nobles in? What kind of coronation should be held for the new king? I feel like I could have picked my goal first, but I wanted the coronation to be untainted as much as possible. I'd like to not be thrown into the river, so I'm just going to veto that one. But you guys can have the votes. Let you make the decision. Do we have a lavish parade with jugglers and fountains of wine? Do we invite foreign dignitaries and show off our wealth? Or shall our troops bear the king through the streets atop their shields? You used 500 channel points to vote for grandees and you ended up as a baron, wasn't it? Sometimes that's just what happens. Wow, what a surprise. Everybody wants a whole bunch of money and they want to just bankrupt the kingdom. Dignitaries arrive from all corners of Celestath, and it's only appropriate you show off. A trained eagle drops a ruby-encrusted crown atop your head as you stand on a golden podium. The odd crowd includes such influential figures as the Dukes of Saul, the Princes of Tablin, and even a pearl bearer from Atesh. Lucrative trade deals are struck at the evening feast. Everybody's trade gets up. All of your wealth has increased. Only the Grand Pensionary of Kurth is not in attendance. The Republic, after all, is fundamentally opposed to the very concept of monarchy. I hope you all enjoy your money. Your Majesty, when you die, how do you cope? The kingdom will remember you. You know what, man? The architect of a new golden age. You guys really want trade. Let's get trade going. Over the next few years, focus on improving your kingdom's overall trade as much as possible. Once you have an heir, we will return to discuss how your ambition is progressing. The first season is down, and now it is time to scheme. Zilma of the Noroth lineage, notorious southern elder, stands bathed in sunshine, speaking softly. A false pretender occupies the throne while my claim is ignored. Grandees of the south, this is a stain on our honor. We must not allow it to go unanswered. Grandees, how shall you overthrow the king? A doppelganger, lower your own defiance. Fervor, raise your farming. Or excommunication, lower stability. I mean, your own defiance is already pretty low. Your farming is also very high, though. These are all pretty solid options. Do we have a tiebreaker? There's a couple grandees left. If you want to sneak a last vote in. Here you go. Raising the farming. The voting has closed. Enjoying that you have more wealth than the king? I bet. The grandee claimant Zilma has been chosen by the ninth god to be the next monarch. They have promised a miracle, food for all. The grandees must raise farming to 5 or more in 4 seasons. Well, that's easy. Agrippa of the Ruby Heart family, well-known coastal entrepreneur, scribbles with a well-used quill on a hardwood desk, explaining in measured prose. Fellow patricians of the coast, my claim to the throne is far more legitimate than that of King Santa. Something must be done. Shall we do sorcery to overthrow him, subterfuge, or a monopoly? I mean, your trade is already at 8. That feels like it's probably a pretty good one. A pretty easy one. Authority and stability flex so much. Change your color to your faction? Oh, that's always a fun idea. I love that vibe. The patricians plan to privatize the entire damn kingdom. First, they must build up their industry. To advance their scheme, the patricians must raise their trade to 5 in 4 seasons. It's already at 8. 4 seasons, 4 seasons. Johanna of the Eagle bloodline, sinister marcher hunter, stands before a blazing hearth, shouting and swearing. When have the barons of the march backed down from a fight? Never! I know you'll do whatever it takes to put me, your rightful queen, on the throne. Intimidation, raise stability. Uprising, raise the treasury. Or propaganda, lower stability. What scheme should the barons pursue to overthrow the king? Barons, the choice is yours. Alexa, Country Roads, Eagle, Shaker, Carthorn, Mac. You want to raise stability. Intimidate the king. The barons plan to hold the king hostage in his own palace. First, they must lull the spy master into a false sense of security. To advance their scheme, the barons must raise stability to 5 in 4 seasons. So far, everybody's doing good. By royal decree, we can tweak the laws. What do we have? Veto and monarch's vote. I know how much you guys love money. I'm taking golden choice. I'll bribe you into making my decisions. Had dad duties? The counts won via rebellion. The North, the cowardly North, never defended us. Ergo, we got toppled. In the south, disquiet. The peasants accuse me of hoarding wealth, says Paul Hoshan. Me! Worse, they're throwing down their tools and burning their belongings, saying they want to live an aesthetic life and that I should do the same. They want to match their outfits with the decor? Or they want to have more exercise? No, not athletic, aesthetic. They don't want to be pinned down by worldly possessions, but burning them is quite the overreaction. The ringleader of this movement is a philosopher called Ortega. Calls herself the voice of the ninth god, and peasants hang on her every word. They'll be at my door any moment. What should Ortega and her anti-wealth followers be dealt with? Send someone to infiltrate the cult, increasing the faith, aggressively break up the meetings, dropping stability and dropping defiance, or fire the troublemakers and hire new servants from the march. This would drop defiance, but would probably cost wealth. But anybody who votes for that will also get 500 wealth. So will you really lose wealth? I don't know. But that's your decision to make. You get options. You get to decide. You've got a lot of money already. Who doesn't want more money? I'm a little scared about how much high faith they could possibly have as well. I don't know if that's good for me or bad for me. I do feel like we are pretty faithful, though. The barons welcome the extra cash for use on their peasants. The barons are now loyal. The wealth has increased. Grandee's wealth has decreased. Ah, the barons have become loyal. Meanwhile, more and more southern servants discard their possessions to follow Ortega's teachings. I'm sure that won't be a problem for later in the game. Even more money. Thank you for the opportunity, my liege. Your Majesty, there's a petition here to see you today. We're not exactly sure where she is from. I assume you have good reason for letting her in? You'll see soon enough. My name is Oriad. I have a proposition for you. Where are you from? Distant shores. Okay. I prefer to keep the exact origins a secret. I am a humble ship captain, one of great renown. Not a pirate, then. I wouldn't countenance the thought. 3 ships are docked in a harbor in the west. Their holds are packed to the gills with muskets and gunpowder, and they each boast a full cannon battery of cannons. They are all yours in return for a small favor. And what would I do with these muskets? Outfit your armies. They're powerful weapons enough to give you an edge over your enemies. And what is this favor? I wish to stay in the kingdom with your blessing and protection. I can show your shoulders how to use these weapons, of course, to avoid any accidents. All right, what did you do? I simply wish to keep my dealings private. You will forgive me, I hope. Do we provide safe harbor for Oriad in exchange for the muskets? Do we reject her offer and send her away? Or do we confiscate her weapons and take her prisoner? The barons need stability. I'm just going to put my vote on that. But any of these, I think, are fine options. Ultimately, council, you get to decide. What is done with the mysterious foreigner? And the rare gunpowder weapons. The gunpowder treason and plot. Some want to confiscate. Some just want to provide safe harbor. Who's this guy? Mac, you voted bad. You should not have voted to decrease stability. I don't think it would have mattered, but I'm gonna call a spade. You send word to the coast where the foreign ships are impounded and the weapons seized. Oriad goes quietly and you show her to a cell, though the contempt on her face is clear as day. We got some powerful militaries kicking up now. The confiscated muskets are distributed to your soldiers without training, however. There are more than a few exploded wagons and missing limbs. That's all right, man. We gotta learn somehow. Traitor Baron, more like bear off. One evening, you're sitting up in bed reading some paperwork when a filth-encrusted peasant wanders to your bedchamber as bold as brass. Hello, your badge. Glad I finally found you. This bloody place is a maze. Mind if I take a seat? Who are you? Oh, my name's Ralph, your Madge. Pleased to meet ya. I got a bloody great idea for you. What if we tied a bunch of birds to a knight? I reckon you could field some aerial troops to totally dominate the battlefield. Before Ralph can explain further, your marshal bursts into the bedchamber, swords drawn. I'm sorry I didn't come sooner. I have no idea where the palace watch are. Do you want me to kill this intruder? No. I want to hold a vote on his proposal. She goes and gathers up your council, who trickle into the halls in their pajamas, rubbing sleep from their eyes. They don't look particularly pleased to be woken up. Should we experiment with tying birds to knights for the purpose of aerial combat? And where will the pilot program be? Let me be clear. We are doing this. It just depends on where you want it to happen. I'm going to be clear. There's no choice in this matter. I want flying knights. Take your vote. A in the south, B on the coast, or C in the march. It was a great move. There could never be a bad time to have flying knights. Looks like the grandees are going to be losing a bit of their military. Or, no, I guess the barons. The barons are going to be losing their military. The voting has closed. Under Ralph's close supervision, a flock of ravens are tied to a marcher knight. Instead of flying, the knight is lost in a flurry of mad pecking and pooping. Ralph insists you merely use the wrong type of bird. Further experiments are conducted with owls, eagles, geese, woodpeckers, ostriches, and little grebes before hundreds of marcher troops quit in disgust. 2 military. Oh, wow, that really crippled the barons. Needless to say, the whole thing is an embarrassing failure. I don't know, man. I think we learned a lot. Your Majesty, if the peasant had been a maniac with a crossbow, I dread to think what could have happened. One thing's clear from this mess is you need an honor guard who can actually keep you safe, not like the watch. Think carefully. The guard's loyalties will be divided between you and the region. Of course, you could just hire foreign mercenaries, but they'll be loyal to coin. The Battle Brothers. We have coastal gladiators who are low-born crooks, but are good but untrustworthy. The Southern Battle Nuns have sworn a vow of silence, but their faith and loyalty is to the church above all. And the March, these soldiers have fought more battles than they've had hot dinners. They'll be uncouth, no doubt, but they won't adapt well to life in the palace. They're loyal and tough as nails. I feel like our faith is really high, right? Like, it seems like across our entire place, we love the church. It's hard to turn down battle nuns. I will make the arrangements at once. The battle nuns arrive in the palace a few weeks later. They nod to you silently, their solemn steel masks betraying nothing before filling into formation behind your throne. Santa and the battle nuns. All right, nobles, it's time to spend all this hard-earned wealth you've been hoarding. The barons can build a deer park for farming, or a library to get the stability up. Obviously, this would be a very good choice for the barons, who are the richest. Probably a good choice for you to build. The grandees can increase their farming, which they also want to do, or their trade. The patricians can also increase their trade or their military. Or they can decrease their military, sorry. And the grandees can decrease their trade. I mean, ultimately up to you. It seems like +1 farming, +1 trade, and +1 stability are all kind of your natural choices. So let's start the auction. Do we have $100? We got $500. We got $500 for the aqueduct. We got $500 for the Grand Bazaar. We got $800 for the aqueduct. Do we have $800? Do we got any money for the library? Is there any money for the library? Are we going to get any funding for the library? Now, let's remember that the barons need that library up. Otherwise, right now, their city stability, they cannot intimidate. They are going to fall behind if they do not get that library going. We got $1,000 for the library. We got $1,400 for the aqueduct. We got $1,400 for the aqueduct. To the patricians, do they dig deep? Do they dig deep? Do they go for the Grand Bazaar? We got $2,200 for the Grand Bazaar. And suddenly, the stadium is also being funded. Is the library ever going to come around? Do we have any more money for the library? Do we have any more money for the aqueduct? We're going to need, we got $1,900 for the aqueduct there. The farming's going up for the grandees, but the barons, they're falling behind. They need $1,000. They need a cold $1,000. They got $2,600 going in for the library. We got $2,600 for the library. We got $2,200 for the Grand Bazaar. Is that aqueduct going to fall behind? $2,700 for the aqueduct. We got $3,100 for the library and $4,200 for the Grand Bazaar coming in at the last minute. My God, that's a lot of paisanos. Ruby Hart, the biggest contributor to the Grand Bazaar. You can all appreciate her in just absolutely pumping up your trade. And the Barons, Mac Pryor coming in with 2,100, really saving the day here. Getting that stability back up. Earning his place among the Barons. Well done. Remember the sacrifice. All right, we got a cult spreading in the east. Let's shut this down. There's a problem with the followers of that Southern Ortega. Her teachings are spreading to the east. Worse, she's getting stronger. She's performing miracles, healing an old woman's broken arm with a single touch, curing an old man's blindness. All over the march, the common folk are throwing away their goods and cursing the barons for their greed. They're clashing with priests, starting brawls in the streets. Every day, we lose more workers to this cult. Do we join with the church and officially denounce Ortega? If she's performing miracles, she must be recognized as an official member of the church. Or do we have her assassinated? I don't have the money to assassinate. I'm going to veto. We can either denounce her or make her an official member of the church. The options are varied. But the choice is yours. Vote now. A 50-50 chance to officially denounce her. A 30% chance to recognize her as official member of the church. Based on our terrible authority rating. Honestly, could go anyway. 30% is still 30%. 50% is still 50%. It's a coin flip. It's XCOM, baby. 6 and 7. 6 and 8. Looks like we're recognizing her as an official member of the church. The voting has closed. Eventually, the Archbishop issues a lukewarm proclamation stating that Ortega and her followers are a legitimate branch of the Church of the Nine Gods. But few people listen, and unrest rises. Ortega goes missing, and the church refuses to comment. Uh-oh. In the capital, the good folk are bounty hunters representing the Republic of Kurth. King Santa, we humbly greet you. Tell me more about Kurth. Lovely this time of year. You should visit. Lots of rain, but we make do. More important, we are searching for someone, a refugee. We went by the name of Oriad. She's in my dungeons. Excellent news. We asked permission to purchase her from you so that she may stand trial and face justice back in Kurth. And the weapons she stole. They still belong to the Republic. We kindly ask you to return them. Do we return the stolen weapons and transfer custody of Oriad? Do we give Oriad to the bounty hunters but keep the stolen weapons? Or do we turn the bounty hunters away? The weapons are ours. We took a gamble. We lost lives to get those weapons. We're not going to give away a bunch of guns. Anyone who votes for this, to give Oriad away but keep the weapons, you will get 500 personal wealth. That is my promise. That is the king's golden promise to you. King Santa Claus is a generous king. He will happily do this. He will happily sprinkle you with riches so that you can then enrich your lands and the people within them. I mean, sure, $3,000 would be nice. But I don't need people getting all uppity. That's not good for anybody. Least of all me. I gotta try to be a generous king. The bounty hunters grumble, but there's little they can do. In the end, they agree to leave with only Oread in exchange for a smaller payment. All in all, you've come out of it with a tidy profit and a few messy weapons. Not bad. Shall we find a spouse? Your mother shows up. I've been busy. Let's marry a woman this time, I think. We are Santa. We got to find our Mrs. Claus. All right, it's tax season. Baron's got a lot of money. The patricians have very little. Grandees, I think I'm going to be taxing you. A little bit extra. But everybody else, I think we just pay the common tax. That feels reasonable to me. I don't think we need to bribe anybody right now. The barons have entered a partnership with a local mercenary guild, making 500 wealth. Getting that extra paper. They are very rich. Maybe a little too rich. I could bribe the barons. I don't know that I would do that. They seem like they have a lot of money. You don't need to, but it would help secure their loyalty. No, I think that's okay. Look, everybody pays their fair share. The grandees pay a little bit extra, but it's because they like us. All right, we got some furious followers in the south. That troublesome philosopher Ortega is gone, but our followers are marching on the states demanding justice. It's the same as the march. They're making her into a martyr, says Nimki. Do we send the royal army to put a stop to this? Crashing our stability but getting our authority up? Do we ask the church to preach forgiveness on all sides? 60% faith option? Or do we pay the grandees to give amnesty to Ortega's former followers? This would increase our stability, but cost us money, and would pay the grandees a lot. It does get stability up, so the barons probably want this. The grandees probably want this. The barons definitely don't want that. I'm just going to ask the church to preach forgiveness. That's my vote. But the decision is ultimately yours, Council. You have your options. You have the facts of the matter. What you decide to go with is entirely your decision. Seems the Council is quite split on the matter right now. Quite split indeed. I'll let you get your votes in. Take a moment to deliberate. See what you prefer. Tie it up a little bit. Grandees clearly hate money. This is true. They do have a lot of trade. They do have a lot of farms. All right. It's a tie. Voting tied at 6. I get to break the tie. Isn't that curious? Well, if I was to select this, the barons would lose their stability. And they wouldn't be able to succeed with their scheme in 2 seasons. But would that really be fair to the barons? Barons, I ask that you remember this when I come looking for your favors in the future. And much like the church, let us preach forgiveness on all sides. I hope this works. The Archbishop gives a passionate sermon preaching peace and unity for all. Stability is now civil. It's not long before the followers realize the worldly possessions are actually pretty useful, and Ortega's name fades into obscurity. Barons, I hope you do not forget. Let's go check out what's going on here with the winter chill. Death to the king. Alexa Aronell says, "Brr, the Marcher winter has been especially cruel this year, Your Majesty. I can feel it in my bones." I found the secret is layers. It's not just about me. In the March, the river's frozen and the people won't work for fear of frostbite. My butler touched an iron fence post and lost his entire finger. Should the council send aid to the March in these cold times? Coastal troops to clear snow and ice. The patricians to send surplus food. Or we can send food. Lower their defiance, spend a bit of our treasury. Up their farming. Or we can leave the barons to deal with it. I tell you what, we're gonna do something. We're not just gonna leave them out to dry. That's not what we do together. That's not how we strengthen the realm. I'm gonna veto this option. You have to decide whether the coastal does it, the patricians do it, or whether the king deals with it. The choice is yours, council. All free to vote A, have the king pay. It's an option. It's an option. I'm being overly generous with the barons right now. But I do feel like this is an option where the realm gets to decide in a reasonable manner how they want to handle it. It looks like the patricians will be sending surplus food. Though a close one. Voting has closed. The patricians gather as much food as they can hand over to the people of the March, but it's not nearly enough. Many Marcher peasants perish in the desolate conditions. The March farming drops. The coast and the March is now grumbling. Well, that won't do at all. That won't do in the slightest. I found 3 potential matches for you. 1 eligible young woman from each of the kingdoms. Yes, of course. Your mother leads you to the Great Hall. We have the portraits on easels. From the coast, we have Aurelia, the wealthy heiress to the noble patrician Xenon's estate. She's always getting herself in trouble for one reason or another. She loves to go hunting, which isn't a common hobby among the patricians, and she's recently been campaigning to improve living conditions in the coastal slums. Wow, that sounds very Santa Claus of you. From the south, Vina, the eldest daughter of the Noroth lineage. She's reputed to have an ego the size of a sun, but there's nothing wrong with confidence. She's a savvy businesswoman who has success in the spice trade, but her business went belly up due to her ramshackle accounting. I don't like the look of her. And finally, we have the Marches offering Ulrika, scion of the prestigious Shaker bloodline. A typical baroness, really, loud and brash, self-absorbed, mostly well-meaning. Like most of the barons, her great passion is hunting. No beast is safe from her crossbow. She was high up in the army training her troops and was honorably discharged for some reasons. Sounds like a laugh. By picking a candidate, you'll anger the other regions, but you'll gain a lifelong alliance. Ooh. Ain't that hard to say. Ain't that hard to say. I think I've made my decision, though. I will marry Aurelia of the Coast. The patricians right now, they care about money. They care about trade. That's what Santa Claus is all about. He wants to get around the world. He wants to give his gifts to everybody. He wants to help out those poor orphans in the slums. That sounds like a noble deal. Sounds right. Wait, you have a daughter? Long live the king. Long live the king. Long live King Santa. By royal decree, we get to tweak some laws. Ooh. +1 authority. Anonymous voting. Or a call of unity. I feel like we could take this +1 authority over the Monarch's vote. Authority is a little low right now. We have counterfeit currency on the coast. We have a royal wedding, and we have gunpowder incidents in the march. Let's deal with the royal wedding first. Your wedding to Aurelia is naturally the talk of the kingdom. For a week and a day, the capital is one giant party. You're not the only one taking part. Instead, you're getting ready for the ceremony. You're standing at St. Bertrand's Cathedral with her at your side. Do you take this woman as your lawfully wedded wife? I do. Nice. Defiance drops everywhere. Stability goes up. Authority goes up. By the time you find yourself alone with her, you've never felt more tired. Good God, I am so drunk, and yet somehow not drunk enough. Time for more wine. Servants, bring us wine. That's the spirit. Let's bang, okay? No time like the present. She swigs back the last dregs of her wine and leads you to the bed. Ah, the old social lubricant. She really is one of us. One of us. One of us. All right, before we deal with this gunpowder, why don't we see what's going on with this counterfeit currency? The coast has been prosperous as of late, but my tax collectors are reporting suspicious coins in the latest takings. The whole region is awash with fake money. The council needs to act. Tell everyone on the coast to examine their coins and return any duds. This would drop the trade of the patricians, decrease stability, and decrease authority. Offer a substantial reward if the counterfeits are caught. Drops her treasury but increases stability. Or order my artificers to invent a new coin that's harder to counterfeit. Drops the trade. If there's one thing I've learned, is that chat loves rewards. Therefore, I'm going to offer a substantial reward for the counterfeiters if they're caught. And I will offer a reward to any noble who votes for this option. Everybody gets paid when Santa's the king. Always good options. If you want that money, honey, then let's catch these counterfeiters. Let's bring them to court. Bring them under the wrath of Santa's axe. Such a wise king. Voting B regardless, the extra $500 is nice, right? I didn't think y'all would complain. I'm happy to give you guys some money. You build things when I give you money. Over the next few weeks, bounty hunters root out counterfeiters in cellars, hideouts, and back rooms across the coast. More than 100 forgers face the noose. All those bounties are eye-wateringly expensive, of course, but public trust in the currency soars. Controversy erupts when it's revealed that one of the counterfeiting rings is led by Lord Patrician Vizrat himself. Of course, his fake gold is confiscated at once. Oh, I'm sorry. I just needed a little extra cash. Vizrat loses 1,500 gold. And the treasury pays itself back. Thank you. Thank you for your crime. You just paid everybody. Do we hang him? Let him off with a warning or throw him in a damp, dark cell. Hang me, of course. He says, oh, I'll take a hanging. All right, let's hang him. Hang me like a peasant. At least grant me the dignity of the axe. He's led away to meet the noose. Rip. Vizrat II, you have joined the council. What would Santa do? What would Santa do? He would obviously hang someone. It's a very Santa thing. Much more humane than letting him rot in a prison for the rest of his life. Maybe? Debatable. Baroness King Beppis. Ooh, a pretender king. Your Majesty, there's been an accident. You recall those gunpowder weapons you gifted us? The levies don't know how to use them, truth be told. No one does. Recently, a barrel of gunpowder exploded in one of our camps, and that's just one example. I did wonder if this might be an issue. My liege, we were hoping you could find someone to train our officers, or at least some instructional documents. We could hire someone from Kurth. This would get their defiance down, but it would increase their military. We could let them figure it out on their own. We got a lot of stability to spare. We could confiscate the weapons for our own personal protection. Drop their military, drop their defiance, increase our authority. Interesting. The iron choice would be to confiscate the weapons for our own personal protection. But do I want a bunch of guns if we don't know how to use them? I have battle nuns. Do I really need my own personal protection? I don't want to hire anybody. As tempting as it is to drop the defiance of the barons, I don't think they need a greater military. I like that our militaries are like pretty even right now. So I'm going to veto that one, and I'm going to let you guys decide. Either we let the barons figure it out on their own, or we confiscate the weapons from them. These are both good options. The barons are getting too big for their breeches. Battle nuns with guns. I mean, okay, that does sound pretty good. I can't deny battle nuns with guns is a good slogan. The king can get behind that. Battle nuns with guns. Voting is closed. Clearly, the newfangled weapons are too dangerous. From now on, only the king and the battle nuns will be permitted to operate firearms without special licenses. Your vassals are resentful, but at least some of the resentment is directed towards Baroness King Beppis for bringing up the issue in the first place. It's the end of the season. Spring is over. In the south, the prophesied ninth herald is finally manifested on Celasath, taking the form of a humble numble known as Zilma, who hails from a farming town. Or so the grandees claim. Peasants all over the south are flocking to you, Zilma. I knew you could do it. Praise be to the ninth god, says Dr. Sean. Praise be, but this is just the beginning. With him on our side, we will capture the minds of the common folk and lead a holy crusade against the false king. The people need a push, however. With the right amount of chaos, the peasants will take up arms and die for you. For the next stage of the scheme, the grandees must have lower stability to 4 or less in 2 seasons. In a dingy seaside tavern, 2 patricians of the coast meet to plot their latest scheme. What do you mean her? God is a woman? It's true, I guess. Whatever happened to the Flying Knights? They didn't seem to work out for some reason. I don't know why. Probably because we didn't have the guns at that point. If they were flying and they had guns, I think it would have worked better. 2 patricians of the coast meet to plot the scheme. The coast's economy has never been better, says Tyr. We're making more money than I know what to do with. Money breeds money. I've made a series of investments to improve our profits even more. But what do we do with the rest of this gold, says Vizrath II. Patrician wealth has increased. Time to start buying things, of course. Lands, roads, bridges. We'll buy up a whole kingdom piece by piece. But first, the king must be in desperate need of gold. The patricians must lower the treasury to 1,500 or less. in 2 seasons. Deep in the forests of the March, Baron Carthorn has gone boar hunting with a few of his close friends. Our plans are going better than expected. The Spymaster thinks that's all is well in the kingdom. All does seem pretty well in the kingdom, honestly. Thanks to the lack of attention, they've secretly smuggled gunpowder in from How many times you gotta learn this lesson, barons? Didn't we realize you don't know how to use the gunpowder? This was a bad idea. Things are proceeding better than I ever imagined. Our next step is to replace the palace watch with our own agents. The honor guard are incorruptible, but the watch are another story. If the king can't pay them, they'll look for money elsewhere. For the next stage of the scheme, the barons must also lower the treasury. Grandees, you have to keep that treasury stocked. If you keep that treasury stocked, those guys are both hampered. And I know you got to get stability down, but you're going to have to find a way to do it while making money. Patrician's got a common goal. United they stand. King is sweating. Pats have to lower to 1,300. Barons to 15. I think they're both 15. 15. 15, 15. Yeah, they're both 1,500. All right. The capital. We're back from a hunt. Santa dearest, I have something for you. It's something I brought back from my latest hunt, a trophy. She takes you by the hand and leads you to the great hall where a white sheet hangs in front of some sort of statue that wasn't there before. When she pulls the sheet free, it falls to the floor. The taxidermied figure of a great brown bear is revealed, snarling in anger as if ready to attack. We could increase our authority. We could gift it to the nobles. Or we could sell it for a decent amount. I guess you're right. I'll find someone who might be interested. The trophy is sold off to an excited merchant for a hefty sum. Aurelia is disappointed. The treasury gains a modest boost. You know, I probably should have just like accepted the gift and you know, banged again, probably. But, you know, these things, they happen. Lord Patrician Scottish Board is here to see you, Your Majesty. He wants to sell you a crab. Of course he does. It's the latest trend amongst the coast. The patricians have started keeping a species of jeweled crab as a fashionable pet. The creatures are so rare that one can now sell for as much as a mansion. Send him in. I know the price is steep, but I assure you, these crabs will go up in value. This seems like a patrician scam to get the treasury down, does it not? High quality crab right there. Take my crabs. I'm gonna turn this fool away. Crabs, honestly, what is the kingdom coming to? I'm not buying your crabs. I don't trust your motivation. I don't want to make them illegal. Like, I'm not looking to, like, you know, unnecessarily just like shut down the crab economy. The crabs are a good business, but they're just not the right business for me. When the crabs rise up, what then? Your Majesty, the richest merchants in the coast have bribed the patricians to give them exclusive charter. They control all trade of glassware and jewelry, the coast's most valuable goods. It's a monopoly, Your Majesty. They're scamming the public by fixing prices, pushing small traders like myself out of business. Should the council help small merchants of the coast overcome the regional monopoly? This would drop the trade of the coast, decrease stability, and give us wealth, which the grandees probably want the most. This would increase treasury and decrease stability, which the grandees want even better. Actually, both of those are good for the grandees. Both of these are bad for everybody else. And we clear the exclusive charter null and void, increasing defiance, decreasing the treasury, but increasing trade and stability. Oh, sorry. This affects the treasury. This affects merchant wealth. This affects not merchant wealth, noble wealth. This also affects noble wealth. I'm going to veto the monopoly. You have to decide, chat. Do you give me money, but hamper, but help the grandees? Or do you hamper the grandees at your own cost and at no benefit to me? No monopoly allowed. Grandees have a clear choice. pretty obvious what the grandees want to do. I don't necessarily love having the defiance go up here. You order soldiers to break up the monopoly, accompanied by a more fearsome threat. Lawyers! The charter is declared illegitimate. Many patricians lose their investments. The coast goes up in defiance. Patrician wealth is decreased. Small traders in the coast flourish once again. The trade is now a monopoly here. The common folk rejoice. Stability is now peaceful. The Baron and Patrician agreement is stonks. Yeah. Just desperately trying to bankrupt us as much as possible. And the summer is over. It took patrician wealth. It's auction time. It's time to spend those thousands and thousands of dollars that have been pouring into your noble pockets. Do we want to decrease the military of the barons, decrease the authority of the barons, increase the authority overall, decrease stability? Grandees, I imagine this is what you want to go with. The patricians could also increase their military or decrease their faith. Honestly, this auction could go any way. It's a bit of a weird one. But the choice is yours. You have 60 seconds. We've got $700 to build a prison in the south. Does anybody else want to build anything? We've got a fortress. Funding for a fortress, 1,000, 2,500 for a fortress for the patricians. The patricians trying to build up their military so that they can match the military of the barons, the grandees. The grandees funding money into that prison, and the patricians funding a lot into that fortress. The barons sitting around on a big mountain of cash, not really sure what to do with it, it seems. They're just hoarding. They're waiting for the moment to strike. The patricians coming in and also saying, we want to build the observatory. We've had enough of this faith. The faith is no good for us. The faith is good for the grandees. But the grandees are coming back and saying, no, we want stability to go down. They've got $2,400 building into that prison. The observatory is not getting funded by the look of it. And that looks like it. Orange Quake gets to sit on his tasty patrician money. Tasty grandee money. Doesn't even need to put it in. Spirit Wolf putting in $1,100 to get that prison down. And Ruby Heart putting in $1,600 to get the fortress up. Military tied across the board. You'll love to see it. About my hair. Your marriage to Aurelia has grown stale. You get along well enough. You've made some good memories, but there's no spark. She cares more about hunting innocent animals than your happiness. Spark or no spark, you still need a baby. I'm very happy, thank you. You've done well so far, but something is still missing. Your heir. A child of your own would do the trick, even if they're a bugger and a bastard. Or the youngest of your many cousins. I want to have a child together. The traditional method. I believe. We had that really successful wedding night, you know. We consummated right away. That felt like a good thing. Nothing here. Very interested to invest in for the Barons. Yeah, that was a bit of a bad auction for you. I'm not going to lie. In the coast, the counterfeiters were caught. Remember the bounties we placed on forgers in the coast? Of course. The counterfeiters we hanged were rank amateurs. Their coins only convincing if you're a fool, a drunk, or both. And now we've rooted out a real professional. Her coins are so convincing, even I can't tell the difference. Let me introduce Penelope. Please do not hang me. Someone bring up the news. Hello, Penelope. Penelope's skills are extraordinary. We could employ her at the Royal Mint to help us make coins that can't be forged. Or even better, we could use her expertise to track down other forgers. By the 9th, if we employ this outlaw, we make a mockery of the king's justice, says Scottish-born, who wants to sell me crabs. Are we sending a message that we only execute insufficiently skilled criminals? Curious. Curious. A counterfeit proof coin is pretty good. Can you go over 10? Like, if I increase the trade here, would it even do anything? B tanks the Grandee's stability. A doesn't really do much of anything for anybody. The counterfeit proof coin, I have no idea. This currently says nothing, so it's like more like it's gonna give us something down the road. I'm gonna go with the counterproof proof coin just as my iron choice. I'm kind of curious to see where this goes, but ultimately the choice is yours. I'm not gonna push your hand too much on this one, chat. We can always be swayed by money, yeah, but I gotta save the money when the vote really matters. I know you guys love being bribed, so there's always options. Always the options. Looks like that counterfeit proof coin coming out strong, coming out solid. Voting's closed. I won't let you down. Authority is now iron-fisted. Penelope retreats into the Royal Mint for a group of engravers. She does not emerge for weeks. Your treasurer assures you that something big is in the works. To the south, we have a city in flames. There's always money in the banana stand. There's been a terrible fire in the city of Kovana, where once there were buildings, there is now a field of smoldering ash. Dozens of peasants have died. Filled with religious conviction, the townsfolk seized a traveling wizard and attempted to burn him at the stake for practicing dark magic. Well, that's never a good idea. He walked out of the city unharmed. The same cannot be said for those who tried to burn him. Well, that's why you never tangle with wizards. I was hoping the council might unlock some funds from the treasury so that we could rebuild. Ooh. I'm vetoing that one. There's no way I'm letting you guys take 3,000 gold from the treasury. I would love to find and punish this wizard. But Grandees, this is an opportunity to get down stability. I gotta veto that. That's my only option here. Of course, we gotta rebuild it. Would be funny. Would be funny to hunt down the wizard, right? It's tempting. Yeah. Yeah, I had a feeling you guys would go that way. That's a pretty clear-cut choice. You order the immediate reconstruction of Covana. The cheap wooden houses take no time to build and are soon populated by candle-wielding, dry blanket-bearing common folk. What could possibly go wrong? I swear to God, if this city burns down a second time, I am not going to be impressed. Grandee's feeling bad. Listen, everybody is having a bad time right now. Deep in the south, a grandee paces along the balcony of a hillside villa. It's not enough. The peasants love Zilma and believe the miracles, but they won't rise up and put him on the throne. They'll come around. The king's golden age can't last forever. The grandees aim to lower stability to 4 or less. Sitting on a bench outside a sun-bleached villa, 2 patricians meet to plot their schemes. The thrice-cursed king is still refusing to sell his public land. The treasury is flush with coin. Patience, my friend. Let's bide our time. And in the march, Baron Cathorn sits at the banquet, gnawing on a greasy chicken leg. He and his fellow plotters discuss their scheme between mouthfuls. The Palace Watch won't accept our bribes. The treasury is practically overflowing. They don't need our money. I suppose they ran straight to the spy master to blab about it too. Is this our end? The best investments are never profitable to begin with. We will bide our time and strike again when the king does not expect it. Tax time! The grandees make 500 wealth from a series of canny investments. Other nobles gain 200. Barons, you look like you got a lot of money. Grandees, I'm sorry to have to tax you extra, but rest assured that your money is going towards stopping both the barons and the patricians from achieving their schemes. I'm actually tempted to do this. And just cruel tax everybody. But I don't think we need to do that. The grandees had the successful investment. They could afford it. Everybody's still happy. Except the extra tax. You got children to feed? Can't even pay the taxes? Listen. Reasonable taxes. The crab bubble is bursting! Uh-oh. Bad news, Your Majesty. A new reef has been discovered, which is overflowing with millions of jeweled crabs. Crab prices are crashing catastrophically. What? The entire kingdom will suffer financially, Your Majesty, with the exception of a few patricians. Curiously, Scottish-born, the very same patrician who first began the crab craze, recently sold all of his crabs at a huge profit just days before the crash. Is this some sort of crab pyramid scheme? Everybody's wealth has decreased except for Scottish's, which goes, it's behind me, but it goes from 1,300 to 2,800. Something must be done. You summon the council to discuss the crab price crisis. Many assembled nobles have invested heavily in the crab market, and they are casting furious glances at the patricians' benches. Do we bail out the failed businesses along the coast at the cost of 2,000 treasury points? Do we let the coast suffer the consequences of the crisis, crashing our stability, trade, and increasing defiance? Or do we arrest Lord Patrician Scottish-born and confiscate his ill-gotten gold? Well, if I bail out all the failed businesses, both of your schemes go ahead. So, I don't think I'm going to let you do that. It will be vetoed. I mean, I kind of gotta. I kind of gotta. Kind of don't have much of a choice. Do we arrest this Scottish-born? And his crab scheme? Are we going to let criminals running crab pyramids just like run free? Roam about? Willy-nilly? Any tie-breaking votes? Oh no, they're pushing it up. They're going up even higher. All right. Let the coast suffer the full consequences of the crisis. There are reports of queues of bankrupt merchants waiting to jump from the tallest towers on the coast. Exaggeration, surely. Trade drops 2 points. Oof. Can't say I love that. Can't say I love that at all. Can't let the king liquidate a patrician. Not yet. Behold, your highness. Dr. Sean pulls aside a tarpaulin to reveal a granite statue of Grandee Tana. The statue is impeccably detailed, its expression a frozen grimace. A sad sight, is it not? A gift from me, Dr. Sean. No, your holiness, that's no statue. It seems the Stone Maiden is abroad in the south. Well, I know why she's abroad. She's called the Stone Maiden. This is no laughing matter, says Dr. Sean. She's a walking statue with burning yellow eyes. All who meet her gaze are turned to stone. She sleeps for years at a time before waking and terrorizing the kingdom. She must have ambushed Tona on his latest vineyard inspection. We must do something. R.I.P. Grady Tona. Tona 2, welcome to the council. Ah, a wizard. Wizards are so expensive. Random chance, authority, military, or hire a wizard. I know how much you guys like money. We can just ride this out. It's honestly, it's not really a problem. If we ride this out, Stone Maiden goes on her way. She might even go somewhere else. It's an easy choice, honestly. Free money, $500 for everyone who decides to hide it out. Wouldn't you rather $500 than anything else? If I bought crabs, I'd be bankrupt. The crab economy is in tatters. Ah, yeah, I knew you guys were going to hire that wizard. I should have just put the iron choice on it. At least I could have gotten an authority point. You send a word that you need a wizard and fast. A few days later, one arrives and presents a hideous spectacle. The wizard is a smoking ruin of twisted slag, mouth stretched in a silent scream. Carried into your throne room atop of Harlequin, he is set down carefully by a team of sickly-looking apprentices. I heard you're having trouble with a woman who turns people to stone, a matter I regretfully have some experience with. Ahaha, ahaha, ahaha. I can make this problem go away for the advertised fee and a small sacrifice. All I require is one of the king's teeth. I just remembered to floss. This will make flossing easier. You survey the worried faces of your nobles. Allowing a wizard to pull a royal tooth looks weak, but condemning your citizens looks cowardly. I can refuse. How curious an option. $2,000 back in my pocket. The farmland of the south gets ravaged. Stability drops, so the Grandees would get a bit of a benefit from this. Trade goes up, and everybody gets paid $300. Get out of here. Remember, you could have avoided what comes next. The Stone Maiden, enraged, stalks the south for weeks on end, turning thousands of peasants into twisted granite figurines. Farming dropped to 3. Stability dropped to 5. Oh, man, that's worse than I thought it would be. At long last, she retreats to her lair deep underground and falls asleep once more. On the bright side, the Grandees now have plenty of oddly realistic statues to sell. Maybe we should have just opted to hide. Just gonna put that one out there. Grandees, you're welcome. I helped you out. You got some nice trade. Crippled my own stability. There's a terrible curse in the march. Baron Carthorne brushes into the council chamber, breathless and in disarray. By the 9th, you look like you haven't slept in weeks. That's because I've been placed under a curse. Look, my hair's falling out in chunks. Get away from me. It was one of the common folk. I saw it in her eyes. She's a witch. Let's just send him to chill. Honestly. That seems like a good decision. This is going to increase trade for the barons. They kind of need it. Carthorne is going to have to pay a little bit, but he's the only one. Everything else is just like, you know, calm and easy breezy. He just needs a vacation. We all need a vacation every now and then. Why not go to the beach? Does she weigh more than a duck? You'll go chill? It'd be a good vibe. I don't know. Do we need to trust in faith? I'm not so sure about that, but you guys seem pretty positive. We'll test out the witch. We'll see how heavy she is. You arrange for a priestess of the ninth god to question the accused. The church does not look kindly upon witches, particularly if they're cursing a noble for no good reason. After several days of questioning and burning of incense, the priestess makes an announcement. The accused is innocent. Things settle down. Catherine eventually admits that he had some new pomade that may be to blame for his hair troubles. Defiance is down. Farming is up. A successful season. We are a pretty faithful kingdom. This is true. All right, the iron chores is not working so well for me. We're going to take reverse voting. All right, lots going on in the south here. Someone's been falsely accused. King is clearly very greedy. He is Santa Claus. He's just trying to give that wealth away. Your Majesty, I bring bad news from the newly constructed prison in the south. Oh yeah, you guys funded this. One of the prisoners, a murderous rogue by the name of Woofus Pucci, has escaped. The double doors bang open. A grubby-looking peasant strides in, escorted by anxious watchmen. In this room? He said it was urgent, and he was pretty persuasive. I swear I'm innocent. Grandy Spirit Wolf threw me in prison on a trumped-up charges simply because I didn't like her hat, says Wolfus Pucci. I had no idea what this fool is talking about. Ha ha ha. Yeah. How should the council respond to this potential abuse of power by Spirit Wolf? Do we throw the foolish peasant back into prison? Do we free Woofus and imprison Spirit Wolf instead? Do we ask the spy master to investigate further? Or do we allow both Spirit Wolf and the peasant to go free? I'm not really interested in having the stability drop any lower. If the grandees vote for this, they will start succeeding on their scheme. If we free him and imprison Spirit Wolf instead, that problem gets solved. We could have the spy master investigate further, also not a bad option. And we could cripple the farming of the grandees. Doesn't really do much for anybody. I tell you what, we're going to go with reverse voting on this one. Because if there's one thing I know, it's that the barons and the patricians don't want stability to drop anymore. So as long as they vote for their least favored option, A, that the rest can kind of be whatever. Reverse voting. How should the council respond to this potential abuse of power? What is your least favorite option? Pick that one. The thing you don't want to have happen is what you want to pick right now. I could veto, but I feel like I need vetoes for more serious things than like a count and a commoner just picking a fight with each other. We have asked the spy master to investigate further. You're going to investigate me on the word of a peasant. Your spy master slips away to investigate the matter. When she returns, she's holding a hat. There's no doubt about it, Your Majesty. I actually quite like the hat. It's stylish, but Woofus Poos was imprisoned on spurious charges simply for insulting it under his breath. Now, what are we going to do about it? Ooh, I get more options. I can increase that stability. It takes 7 watchmen to restrain a spirit wolf as they're dragged down to your dungeons. 2 points of defiance. Oh, wow. While the common folk celebrate Woofus Poof's exoneration, it's also taken as a sign that the king's justice is flawed. Spirit Wolf 2 has joined the council. My authority has dropped. Stability is now civil, though. I think that was a fair deal. Your Majesty, I have a proposition for you, says Granditona II. As we all know, you're the greatest king who ever lived. This is true. This is facts. But you've been locking up a lot of people. Also true. Also facts. Which is, you're right, of course. Many of them are the pettiest of criminals. Thousands are locked up for illegally dumping human waste, for example. Most of them would make good laborers and farm hands, which we sorely need in the South. This is true. Perhaps we can work out a deal. Accept gold in exchange for petty prisoners. Donate the prisoners for free. Or keep the waste dumpers where they are. Grandees are going to want that. Everybody else is not going to want that. Here's a tough decision for you, barons and patricians. If I veto this, you have to decide, do you let the grandees move ahead on their plan? Or do we set aside some treasury money and hope you get one of those like negative 3,000 options? Because I'm out of veto on the next run, right? Like my veto's on cooldown at this point. So I'm only getting 750 here, but we know that there's options for like 3,000s in the future. It's an option. City stability has to get to 4, but stability moves often and frequent. I'm going to let you guys make this decision for yourself. None of those are great choices for me. No, these are all bad for the king. It's a tough one. It's toughy. You guys have your decision. Keep the waste dumpers where they are. You suffer a number of glowing stares from the southern benches. Word spreads of your uncompromising nature. In the march, we have a brand new harvester. Your Majesty, the scholars or great thinkers of the march have invented a new farming implement. Some kind of horse-drawn machine. They automatically reaps and threshes grain. They call it a wheat eater, and it's revolutionizing agriculture. The barons get 2 farming points, jumping up to 7. It would be of great use to us in the South. Our farms are struggling to keep up with demand, you know. This is true. We actually do know this. We will not share the designs with the like of you, says King Beppis, Southern Leech. Our people worked hard on that machine. We deserve to reap its rewards, not you. Force the barons to distribute the designs, increasing the farming in the for the grandees. Compensate the barons for their invention, losing me 800 gold. All the barons get 150 wealth, and the grandees get farming. Leave the machines in the march only, increasing defiance in the South, probably, but farming. This would give the barons an even bigger farming boon. Or halt production of these machines. They're an affront to honest farmers everywhere. Defiance goes up, farming goes down, but faith goes up. Interesting. This feels like it benefits everybody. I know it traps my treasury, but it would get everybody farming. You'd all get 150 wealth plus 500 wealth. So you'd get 650 wealth each if you voted for this. I lose a little bit of money, but everyone else is happy. And it helps neutralize the farming playing field. Which can't be terrible. Ah, you're right. The 150 is for the barons, but the 500 is for anybody who votes for it. Hydrocheck, thank you. VM is the only one who's like, no, March only. He hates money. A fair price, I suppose. Reward for their ingenuity. The barons are satisfied, as is everyone else who produces brand new wheat eaters at their farms at lightning speed. +2 farming for everybody else. Yeah, it's a great deal. Let it be known that Santa takes care of the kingdom. These upstarts are saying they have a right to your throne. Nobles are scheming. The season is over. Paper coins, a new contraption, and my heir. Your quest for an heir is finally complete. You stand before the council holding a small child in your arms. My son, my daughter, or my child? It doesn't really matter. The assembled nobles break out into polite applause by designating an heir. You've cemented the stability of your kingdom. Your Majesty may be the first to congratulate you on the birth of your child. What is their name? Santa the Second. I'm sure Santa the Second will grow up to be a chip off the old block. You now need to fill your ambition to win the game. Expect a visit from the Spy Master soon. I just bumped up the stability as well with that. Is so nice. Paper coins. Penelope and the Royal Mint have come up with a new idea. It's, you see for yourself. You walk to the Royal Mint where the noise of metal cutting and engraving usually drowns out all thoughts, but today it's silent. My new invention is coins made of paper. Are you mad? Each paper coin represents a quantity of gold stored safely in the vaults of the Royal Mint. Do you see it? It's lightweight, won't lose value through wear and tear, and it's quicker and cheaper to manufacture. But isn't this easier to counterfeit? It has a watermark, but yes, it's still, the benefits outweigh the drawbacks. We got to consult the council. Do we roll out paper money across the kingdom, just on the coast? Do we burn the paper discs and hang Penelope? Or do we tell Penelope to come back with something more metallic? I'm going to veto this. Choice is yours. Honestly, all good options. Technically, we know from real life that paper money is true. It does theoretically work. Whether or not our peasants are smart enough to figure that out, TBD. But, you know, it's a good question to ask. Give me an option to hang someone and I'm hanging someone. I mean, that's fair. Catitude, welcome. Roll out paper money across the kingdom. God, I hope this works. Oh, no. While paper money rolls out across the kingdom, the peasants' reaction is bafflement and scorn. A popular joke is that it's only useful for keeping next to toilets. People refuse to exchange their old coins for these useless paper slips. They hoard instead of spend, worried the king will take their gold away. It was a disaster. I'll try to reintroduce gold coinage before everything collapses. Oh my God! -2 trade in every single location. I think I just went from winning the game to losing it. You've made our kingdom the laughing stock of Celeste. You tried to tell us that crabs were money, Scottish. Money made out of paper. What were you thinking? Wow. And Defiance gets a +2 everywhere. That was a absolute game changer to the state of the game. Completely flipped everything on its head. Majesty, a noble patrician by the name of Xenon wants to present you a new invention. A more humane age. Botched executions are commonplace. Decapitation where the head doesn't come off, or hangings where it does. No more. Behold, a merciful machine for the removing of heads quickly and painlessly. I call it the Xenon. You swish away a cloth to reveal a huge machine of iron and wood, a hole for someone to place their head, and a heavy blade dangling ominously above it. The sight sends a chill down your spine. Oh, it's awful. This is better than getting your head chopped off by a nervous peasant with sweaty palms and a blunt axe. With a little funding, I can distribute it across the kingdom. No. No funding. It's an abomination. Get out. There's a rebellion, and it takes 4 chops to sever your own neck. Don't come crying to me. Good grief. What a season. Perfect guillotines. Proud of my fellow patricians for coming up with guillotines in this trying time. Listen, it's pretty good. Didn't vote for that. I voted to hanger. The king sees the future. All right. Our auction. The barons get to trade or decrease authority. The grandees can decrease their faith, or they can decrease stability if the grandees build another prison. That will get them the scheme point. The patricians can get faith, or they could also get military. Let's start the auction. There's arguments for building up more military. The barons, I'd appreciate it if you guys built a Grand Bazaar, personally. You guys kind of need the trade. That's going to give you more money down the road. Looks like the grandees are going all in on the prison. We got 40, 50 on the prison already. We got 1,500 on the Grand Bazaar. Barons sitting on a lot of money. Patricians sitting on a decent chunk of change. The grandees all in right off the gate. You gotta respect it. Grandees dropping in an extra little bit just to lock it in. 55.50. And the barons going for a Grand Bazaar at 3,500, trying to boost up their trade so that they can guarantee they're going to get more money down the line. $5,000 from the barons into that Grand Bazaar. The fortress sitting at 2,700. Time is up. The deals are in. The prison has been funded, with Orange Quake contributing 25.50 of the money. The barons, Carthorne, putting in 2,000. This does succeed. Their stability check. Moving forward, we got to get that stability up if we do not want them to succeed. Let's check our ambition. At the start of your reign, you said you wanted to be the architect of a new golden age. You succeeded on that front. The kingdom has never been more prosperous. Defiance down 1 across the board, thank God. But to shut down your noble scheming for good, we need to build on that reputation. The advisors have some ideas. Have we heard of the Scepter of Sages, an ancient lost artifact forged by Queen Alma the Wise? There's a legend that any king who recovers it will rule over a golden age. My advice, on the other hand, will be to infiltrate each region with loyal spies, defeat their schemes with schemes of our own. Faith and trade. Yeah, we love Jesus. A wise decision, Your Majesty. I'll begin sending out adventurers to track down the scepter's location. But adventuring isn't cheap. Your priority is to raise the faith and trade as much as you can, and of course there can be open rebelling among the nobles. Okay. All right. Doesn't actually tell me what I need to do other than just generalize. Says Baroness Lady Catitude. Excuse me. Nothing is wrong. Absolutely nothing is wrong in the merch. Well, then this calls for a celebratory glass of wine. There's definitely not an old witch who lives at the border of my lands, and I definitely have not been having money troubles. Most importantly, she didn't offer me a fortune in exchange for just a drop of my blood, an offer which I absolutely did not accept. Baroness Lady Catitude's wealth has been increased to 750. Great stuff. Where's my wine? Ever since I didn't accept the witch's bargain, I haven't found myself obeying her every command. I definitely still rule over my estate, not her. Furthermore, she didn't forbid me from telling you any of this, and I'm not using negative statements to bypass her magic. Hang on. I'm starting to think you might mean the opposite of what you say. No, Your Highness, that's not the case. It isn't? Maybe I was wrong. Nothing to see here, my liege? We didn't need to tell anyone? No, Your Highness, never, ever? All right, let's go fetch the court physician. After a week confined to a cold iron box with nothing to eat but salt, the magic stops affecting Lady Catitude. She's even able to talk about her ordeal directly. I always tolerated that bloody witch. She'd sell medicine to the peasants and help them find lost sheep. I never suspect she was capable of something like this. We need to call a vote, send a regiment, and take back my stolen lands. Well, I'm most certainly vetoing that. We can either take back Lady Catitude's land and burn the witch at the stake, or we can let Lady Catitude suffer the consequences of her bargain. Honestly, that's on you, Council. This is your decision. There's good arguments to be made for both. Oh, was that wealth, not treasury? Oh, yeah, that was a big waste of my veto then. Oh, well. These things, they happen, you know? Not going to be too burned up about it. Lady Catitude, you have to suffer the consequences of your bargain. I have to live with that old peasant woman lording it over me? No, I'm taking my lands back. All right. Good luck. When the marcher troops arrive on the Baroness Lady Catitude's estate, the land itself fights back. The soil opens up beneath them. Trees swipe at their houses, but they fight their way through with minimal losses. The witch tries to escape, but she's caught by sentries posted around the perimeter. The witch is burned in the town square as peasants watch in silence. Lady Catitude is pathetically grateful at the return of her ancestral home. Faith is now devout. But the fields are never again as bountiful as they were under the witch's reign. That's fine. Good deal. Good deal. We're an okay deal. All right, and we got a comet sighting down south. You feel betrayed? What do you mean? You got your land back. I let you go. I didn't arrest you. I didn't betray you. It was all right. It was all good. All gravy. A blood-red comet spotted in the night sky over the march. The common folk are claiming it as a terrible omen. The common folk are on a verge of panic. Is there anything I can do? Tell the church to dispel such baseless superstitions. The priests of the march preach that the comet is actually a good omen due to a new interpretation of an obscure cluster of stars. Faith is now fervent. Stability is now stable, baby. Fortunately, the church is trusted enough in the march that the peasants believe their pastors. The comet is celebrated as a sign of the ninth god's favor. Let's go. Let's get it. It's tax time, baby. Grandees, good news. I'm bribing you. Barons, you got a lot of money. So I'm going to take a little bit of it. Patricians, you can just pay the common tax. I got to equal out some funds here. We never bribe the barons? Listen, that's because the barons don't need to be bribed. They remember what the king did for them. The patricians make 500 wealth selling snake oil that they claim cures scrofula. The other nobles gain 200 wealth. Let's get our conclusion, shall we? Like the way the king has gotten all of his money. All the king's money is pelf. keeping that treasury, trying to keep that treasury afloat, slowly watching it like burn down step by step. All right, let's check the ambition. I have the most exciting news. Our hired adventurers have discovered an ancient manuscript hidden deep beneath the mountains. It speaks of the Scepter of Sages and was written by Queen Alma herself. Worried about what would happen to the kingdom after she died, she hid the Scepter of Sages so her enemies couldn't find it. Good work, treasurer. It's in a warren of caves within the Black-Wheeled Forest, Your Majesty, near to the capital. It's been under our noses this whole time. I've taken the liberty of sending out more adventurers. They'll clear the area and get inside. We're close. I can feel it. Oh, this is most bracing. I usually don't get to do this sort of thing. I'm usually stuck in my office all day. As soon as the adventurers return, the treasurer will come to tell you the news. 60% trade chance. Have they found anything? It's proving difficult, Your Majesty. It's practically a maze down there, and the adventurers decided it wasn't lucrative enough. They've left for the kingdom of Atesh. What are adventurers for if not crawling around in caves? My thoughts exactly. I'll see what I can do. There are plenty of others we can hire for the job. The challenge will decrease in difficulty with each failed attempt. Increase your faith and trade as much as possible in the next 2 seasons. Okay. The living trees? Am I slowly watching? Little bit by little bit, just seeing what's happening. The monk of the march. A young marcher monk named Gilderfrith seeks an audience. He's writing a book and has a small request. I can vouch for his seriousness. Show him in. I'm writing a history of your reign, but research is costly. I was wondering if you might donate a little to support my efforts. If I donate a little, the treasury stays above. If I donate a lot, it goes down. Of course, we'll give you some money, my good monk. Future generations will thank you, Your Majesty. It was good of you to see him, Your Majesty. Is that all? Gilderfrith is a very deliberate historian. I doubt his book will be ready for decades. Oh, well, okay. We probably won't see what happens with that. Bad news, Your Majesty. A meddling wizard has set up shop and has... We got too many wizards in this realm, I'm going to tell you. I believe it is Athmoral the Stormbringer. Wizards have managed to tame creation itself. They wield untold power, but are naturally distrusted by the church. Even the High Inquisitor wouldn't dare move against them openly. The wizard, whose domain includes both sky and storm, has put out a call for new apprentices, which is a rare event. A once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for many. Droves of unwashed, glory-seeking common folk from all over the march are lining up for their chance. Not just peasants, I, Shirajirajin, have also decided to apply. The competition will be fairest, but those citizens are no match. I will be the most powerful noble this council has ever seen. You, says Baron Shaker, you couldn't put your clothes on if it wasn't for your servant's help. We can't let this go ahead. Not only is it heresy, it presents a clear and dangerous conflict of interests. How? Wizards answer only to themselves. Their power is unmatched, such that the entire kingdom cannot stand against them. Even an apprentice on the council could be disastrous. Shirajirajin could use magic to interfere with votes, or you for that matter. Assemble the council. Interesting. Unfounded. Go put on clothes. I assume by letting her go, the barons get angry. And by forbidding her, the patricians get angry. I could confiscate her money. And everyone who gets this gets 500 gold. Alternatively, I could forbid her and hope that the church approves. Council. This is a council business matter decision. It's up to you to decide what you want. Do you want a wizard apprentice on your council? Would you prefer not to have a wizard apprentice? Or would you like to make me a rich king? Honestly, I could have won. I could have won almost anyway. Too dangerous for the council. Your Highness, for not bowing to this power-hungry fool. If you'll excuse me, I must deal with this troublesome wizard. +2. Ooh, a noble can't even enter into a year-long blood pact to become an all-powerful demigod without council approval. Whatever happened to so-called freedom? Athmoral's presence in Hartsburg attracts all sorts of visitors, though the power over latent magic starts to wield crops for miles. Trade is up, but farming is down. That ain't too shabby, baby. End of the season. We got royal decrees. Swap those out. A plague of rats, stargazing, and the deceased. The South is bumping right now. Freedom, free doom. This simply can't go on, Your Majesty. The Archboffins think they know everything, but they know nothing of the Ninth God's wrath, says VM. Your Majesty, we found a perfect site for an observatory high in the southern hills, but it's on Grandy VM's land, and he refuses to let us build there. Such things are heresy. The stars are as big and close as the Ninth God intended. Who put you up to this idea? I bet it was one of those barons, like Eagle Atnam. Find a different site for the observatory, construct the observatory, forbid construction, and investigate the scholar's funding. Funding, you say? I could go anywhere here. I think I'd like the faith, personally. And I'd like to reward you for rewarding the faith. If you believe in God in this game, if you believe in the Ninth Gods, I guess, and you believe in $500 of personal wealth, now's a great opportunity to get that money, get that paper. Otherwise, this could go anyway. I'm just saying the king has been pretty wise. Science will not be halted. Damn. You guys really want that observatory. VM's not gonna be happy about this. You'll take some money? Why not, right? The grandees grumble and groan, but construction goes ahead. Over time, the observatory provides new jobs and brings traveling scholars to the area, paying for itself many times over. Trade is boosted. Defiance is also up, but c'est la vie. All right, we got a plague of rats down here. Scholar is stealing from you? Probably. Grandee Paul Hoshan strides into the council's chambers, distraught, waving a dead rat by its tail. The fields and barns of the south are overrun by vermin, and we've no more poison for the horrible things. We can't cope. Take the rat and go. The south can handle this alone. Deliver a supply of rat poison. Send them a shipment of cats. That would put us exactly 50 gold. Hire some adventurers to clear out the rodents. $500 or $900, it doesn't really matter. Might as well have you bleed me dry. Get a point of authority for it. You gotta help the poor people, right? You gotta deal with the rats. If you don't kill the rats, they'll kill you. Just look at the Skaven. Oh my god, I know. It's true. Bye, treasury. It was nice knowing you. Listen, we have one more event still. We could get that treasury back up. It's possible. I do like the shipment of cats, and I was kind of curious just what that would do. The Adventurers Guild is an entire branch dedicated to vermin control as part of their leveling up initiative. This is like this is the basis of so many animes. Don't worry, Your Majesty. You can rely on I, Graswald the Glorious, and a party of merry venturers to clear out these rats. Later, the adventurers are wiping out battling some kind of rat king in a sewer, but the rodent population has gone down. Last, we have the deceased. The elderly Grandee Dorinda, a cousin many times removed of Grandee Noroth, died in her sleep last week. She was nearly 90, would you believe it? I'm sorry, friend of yours? Not at all, Your Majesty, but she was very wealthy, however. She could have spent more time on her accounts. She died without a will, and the nobles are scrabbling for her estate. She was my relative, says Noroth. I wrote to her at least once a year. Of course the estate should be mine. My latest great-grandfather used to play backgammon with her. He swore she intended to leave it to my family, says Lady Patrician Shirajarajin. By the 9th, that's a pitiful claim, says Noroth. I should have vetoed the $900 option. Because I would have been flush again if I did that. You're obviously not going to vote for D. You could pump Defiance up. You have more Defiance to spare right now. So I'm gonna have to veto you. Decision is yours, Council. You have the chair. Pitiful or not, a claim is a claim. Just need to remove anyone with a more powerful one and it's enough. The South is wise to fight for the treasury. You are correct. If the South votes for the treasury, it hampers everyone else. Voting got tied at 6-6-4. Oh, I get to decide? Me? Little old me? Southern and coastal nobles watch in outrage as peasants occupy the estate and move into the manor house. Using the late Grandee Dorinda's money, the peasants set up a marketplace on her land. It turns out to be a huge success, and merchants flock to the place in crowds. Grandees get 10 trade now. They've got a monopoly on trade. That's the end of the season. Sitting on a bench outside a sun-bleached villa, two patricians meet to plot their schemes. To what do I owe the pleasure, Madam Treasurer? You know why I'm here. Let's just hurry up. Shall we do it? Where do I sign? Here, here, and here. You've got what you wanted. Do my eyes deceive it? Was that the royal treasurer you were speaking with? My friend, good news. With the king's gold running out, the treasurer was willing to sell off the kingdom's roads and bridges. The kingdom will soon be ours, but what will we do when we own everything? Patricians of the coast, would you like to raise stability or lower authority? This is your last scheme. Turn the king into a proud corporate mascot or mercilessly extract wealth from the kingdom until it collapses. Scottish, Tear, Kitty, Vizrat, Ruby, Shirajira, Xenon. Give you a moment to think about it. Lower authority, that's probably the right choice. Otherwise, you're just fighting directly with these guys. We're invested a lot of money in this kingdom. It's about time we start turning a profit. What about the king? Won't he try to stop us? The key word there is try. For the final stages, they must drop authority to 5 or less. That's not a lot. Barons, get ready with your votes. Luck is with us, my friend. The palace watch are in our pocket. They took our money gladly, and the kingdom can barely afford to pay them a living wage. Soon the throne will be ours, says More Country Roads. Indeed it will, says Carthorne, but now we must plan our next steps. Barons, would you like to kill the king and place your own claimant on the throne, or would you like to control the king with the threat of assassination? If you pick A, you are doing the same thing that the patricians want. If you pick B, you're doing something different. Country Roads, Shaker, Eagle, Parion, Alexa, King Bepis, Nemki, Lady Catitude, Carthorne, and Mac. It is your votes. What happens here if they both get this? The pact continues. Over the next few months, we'll have our troops infiltrate the capital disguised as beggars. At my signal, they'll gather and storm the palace in the dead of night. The bribed watch will open up the gates. Our soldiers will murder the king in his bed and have our claimant on the throne. Ruthless, I like us, but what about the patricians and grandees? They'll call us usurpers and rise up in revolt. If King Santa's rule is weak enough, we can persuade them to accept anything. 5 or less. Scheme, scheme, scheme. A new baby. Wizard troubles. I'm going straight for my ambition. Poor agent, no chance. An unholy pact indeed. Santa's in danger because of the red and green faction alliance. But I might succeed right now. I sent more adventurers to search the Bleakwood Forest. They've just returned from their expedition. We boosted trade a ton. 90%. The adventurers have found a golden door beneath the forest, which matches the description in Queen Alma's manuscripts. So we have the scepter? The scepter should be hidden within. The scepter of sages can only be found by a monarch who is strong of purpose and true of heart. That's me. Indeed, your majesty, I'm sure I agree. But unfortunately, it's not me who decides. Queen Alma wrote a ritual for the monarch to prove themselves worthy of the scepter. If we go to the cave, I can read out the relevant passages while you set it all up. You make the arrangements, bringing a procession of horses, food, drinks, adventuring guides, and a little traveling desk for the treasurer to the Bleakwood Forest. Your wife comes too, riding beside you. Good day, Forday. I hope this scepter thing's all it's cracked up to be. The adventurers lead you inside your cave, holding flaming torches to light your way. Soon the tunnel grows horribly cramped, and you bend double to squeeze through. Just like a chimney. This is all very jolly. No time like the present. You walk for what feels like hours. Just as you might have lost hope, you reach a golden door exactly as the adventurers described. It'll only open for the faithful. Close your eyes, Majesty. Concentrate. We have an 80% chance. Breathe. A bright golden light flares behind your eyes, but you keep your breath steady. You hear the door rumble. When you open your eyes, the tunnel ahead is utterly dark. Even the torches do not illuminate it. As soon as you step into the chamber, the torches snuff out. A hideous scream echoes from below. The adventurers scramble into a protective stance while the treasurer wails. This is awful, dreadful. I should have stayed in my office. It's not so bad. Quite nice to get out in the fresh air, says Aurelia. This is hardly fresh. It's stale and horrible. Do we have enough of it left? It's fine. We're meant to be here. I'll stay calm. You put your hands out and feel your way along the wall, and then your fingers touch something. As you grip the scepter, it glows gold, chasing away the dark shadows of the chamber. It looks like a simple wooden staff, like any peasant might use for walking, but the glow is as bright as the sun. It's the scepter, your majesty. You've done it. It looks a bit rubbish, though. We can always put a bit of paint on it to make it prettier. First things first, I'll destroy my enemies, conquer the world. I'm eliminating poverty. Goodness, we must call the nobles first and tell them the good news. Bearing the scepter, you make your way through the tunnels and back into the sunlit forest. As soon as you return to the capital, you call the nobles to the council hall. Do we go straight in and make the announcement, or do we let them sweat? Let's go straight in. I can't trust these nobles. Bleeding me dry here. This is still game 2, yeah. The treasurer holds a velvet cushion upon the scepter of sages. Sits. It looks small and ordinary, but you sense the weight of its history. Aurelia strides at your side, waving to the nobles cheerfully. Behind you, your heir, Santa II, toddles along, hand in hand with the governess. What's going on, your majesty, says Rosmetal Twitch. Why have we been brought here? I have some good news. The nobles fall silent as you ascend to your throne and settle yourself comfortably. King Santa has descended into the deepest depths of the Bleakwood Forest and has retrieved the Scepter of Sages. Excited and worried whispers ripple around the council hall. The bearer of the Scepter of Sages, the king, has sealed his destiny as King Santa the Enlightened. How do we know it's real? It could be any old staff. Stability increase. The scepter begins to glow, bathing the council hall in warm golden light. The nobles gasp and fall silent. Beside you, Santa II claps their hands in delight. +3 stability. -3 defiance for all factions. Depths below, that's amazing. It becomes clear that even the grumpiest of nobles will never dare speak against you while you bear the Scepter of Sages. Finally, you are secure in your throne and your kingdom. Your victory is here, but your future has only just begun. Thank you! Thank you! Thank you very much. This was my first time ever winning. I can't believe I got you all to get along so well. GG. The grandees prayed and prayed for a miracle to place Zilma in their rightful place on the throne, but no miracle came. They had a miracle. The miracle was Santa. The patricians' attempt to buy the kingdom ended in failure. Bankruptcies were filed. Marks were scratched in secret ledgers. The risk-reward calculus wasn't favorable. Perhaps next time they should have put their money in crabs. The Baron's attempt to worm their way into the palace was uncovered, and a number of arrests were made. Baron Carthorne ended his life chained upside down in a dungeon wall. Special shout-out. Backed by the scepter's power, King Santa's rule spanned another 15 years of peace and stability. A golden age of prosperity swept over the kingdom. In his will, the king instructed that the scepter be reburied to be claimed only by a worthy successor. King Santa the Destined. 3 years and 3 months. Crabs were the way. Should have married my daughter, though. That is a real win, yeah. I leave for one dinner and the king grabs the scepter, right? His wife grabbed it too? Yeah. Country Roads sitting here on 4,400 bucks, hoarding up that wealth. Love to see it. Mac, though, spending every dollar on prisons, I think. Maybe. We ended up with 7 authority, 8 stability. Who's this guy? That's not me. Is that Santa II? Grandees with a huge trade monopoly. Equal military. I love to see that. Faith was really high. Defiance, like, relatively low. Honestly, the fact that I was able to get, like, authority and stability both up, I got really worried about rebellions because I thought all 3 of you were going to get to rebel at the same time. And I managed to just keep it high enough. That's my successor. Okay. Is this where I make a comment of being like, I am a white-skinned, white-haired dude? As was my wife. And I had a kid with orange hair and dark skin? That's a little suspicious. That's a little Crusader Kings. Now we know where Country Roads got all that money from. GG's. GG's. Folks, thank you for joining us for a little King of the Castle. It is always so fun to get to play this. It is always a hoot. I hope you'll join us in the future when we do it again.